News. This is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story, the woman accused of killing her husband and writing a children's book about grief will be back in court today. Corey Richens is facing multiple charges, including attempted murder, mortgage and insurance fraud, and multiple counts of forgery. A Utah mom is seeking parole after being sent to prison for a crash that killed her daughter. Cami Aparicio was sentenced after police say she drove the wrong way on I-70 near Richfield while impaired and hit a semi-truck. Her 12-year-old daughter was in the car and died in the crash. Aparicio says she is ready to overcome her addiction and wants to share her story with others. The 5-member board will vote to grant her parole or set a new hearing. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump is slated to speak to global leaders in Davos this morning. He might speak about his plans for the economy. It's his first major speech since taking office.
What we've seen Trump talk about so far is 25% tariffs on goods coming from Mexico and Canada and 10% tariffs on products coming from China. Now, those, if they are implemented, and possibly he says as soon as February 1st, that would be a big deal, and that would affect prices for consumers and for businesses. But it's not those universal tariffs that Trump was talking about on the trail that would have had this huge, huge implication.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 185. That's 0.4%. We're at 44,344. Coming up, it's going to be cold and sunny today, but we do have a storm coming this weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Isn't it wonderful when you find a place that is just right for you, your family, and your friends? You feel comfortable there. You've never had a bad experience. You're always thoroughly pleased. That is the perfect description for me, my friends, my family, of Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Both locations, Hotel Park City, and of course right in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City at 275 Southwest Temple. From the moment you walk through the door, you just feel that ambiance is perfect. And when you're seated and you're introduced to your server, they take care of you from the very moment you sit down to the moment you ask for the to-go box so you can enjoy the leftovers at home. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. The steaks are prepared perfectly. The seafood is beyond compare. And of course, poultry dishes and so much more. The desserts, the side dishes. And don't forget, Valentine's is coming up. Perfect time right now. Do it. Make your reservations at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
Between all the holiday parties,
weekend tailgates,
and family get-togethers,
we've been overindulging a little more than usual over the holidays. But now, we are starting the new year off on a healthier note by taking Active Liver supplements from New Nordic every day.
Active Liver contains a powerful blend of turmeric, milk thistle, and globe artichoke extract, all natural ingredients that help protect the liver so that it can protect you from toxins. It's like giving my body a daily detox. I've never felt better, and my energy is through the roof.
And my doctor is already impressed with how much better my numbers are looking. So if better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief.
Active Liver is available in both tablets and as a delicious gummy. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
If you're trying to decide which gutter protection to put on your home, don't just ask how they'll handle leaves. Ask how they'll handle ice. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and that's right, ice. See, plenty of gutter guards are good at keeping out leaves, but most are made with flimsy materials that can bend, buckle, and break under the weight of too much ice. Kind of a big problem in an icy state like Utah, right? At RGS Exteriors, our exclusive gutter protection systems are built Utah tough. They're made with premium strength materials that hold up to 1,200 pounds of ice per square foot. Simply put, they're not going to budge. Our gutter guards are also certified to handle hurricane-level winds and rain. Mother Nature can't damage them. Guaranteed. Utah Tough Products. That's the RGS way. For a free estimate, call 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's rgsexteriors.com or 801-280-3110. 3110.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. And here's Jason Jones.
Well, as I always say, accidents breed accidents. We still have the accident southbound I-15 approaching Center Street in Orem with the right lanes blocked there, and the delays stretched all the way back basically to American Fork, where we have a new accident now. This is also southbound side of I-15, obviously in the backup. Another right lane is blocked as you get to 5th East there at American Fork. So if you're traveling southbound in southbound I-15 in Utah County, it's going to take you a little extra time to get wherever it is that you're going. Northbound I-15 remains a little slow right around the north interchange, and again approaching the I-80 interchange there. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be sunny and cold, a high around 36. Right now it's 21 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
And I start this Thursday morning, Dave, with a big smile on my face because I have always loved the idea of legislating and imposing sales tax on people who skip over to Montana to register their boats, their big vehicles, because Montana doesn't charge sales tax. Well, lawmakers are on their trail right now, and there's a new proposal on the Hill that we're going to take a deep dive into right now.
Thank goodness we have the KSL 5 investigative team for this, because I will tell you, they've exposed the naivete in my brain, because I have family that lives up in Bear Lake. We go to the marina and put our boat in all the time. And I always think, oh, look at those people traveling all the way from Montana. The 6-hour and 15-minute drive and 350 miles. You know, this is a huge issue. We've seen this for years. And I guess I always assumed it was just traveling to Bear Lake. Oh, no, they're working the system.
So the story that caught our eye, KSL 5 television investigative reporter Matt Gephardt speaking to the Utah Tax Commission about this proposal on Utah's Capitol Hill. And if you are driving around right now in a $100,000 truck, or that boat, that $300,000 boat is parked in your driveway, and you haven't paid sales tax on it because you went up to Montana to register it and they don't charge sales tax, you're going to want to listen to this part of Matt Gephardt's story, because it's going to explain what the fine is going to be if you don't settle up with the sales tax in Utah.
Vehicle's owner would get a letter informing them that they are breaking the law. They have 60 days to register their vehicle in Utah and pay the sales tax. And if they go past that 60-day deadline, Jason Gardner of the Utah State Tax Commission says it'll be worse.
They would be subject to all the back sales tax and 100% penalty of the sales tax amount that wasn't paid. So basically double sales tax.
Matt Gephardt is joining us right now, along with producer Sloan Schreg from the KSL 5 investigative team. And Matt, you've done several reports on this kind of thing, and it looks like there is this energy and excitement on the Hill to pass this, to make sure there is the crackdown.
Yeah, no question about it. And we have, for a couple of years looked into this scheme, as it were, where people would essentially set up, the way it would work is it's not like people are going to Montana to buy these vehicles. They're buying them from dealerships here in the state of Utah. And what they're doing is saying, no, instead of registering it to me here in the state of Utah, register it to my LLC, my business in the state of Montana. And they have, we've exposed, they have full-on companies, essentially lawyers who are up in Montana who do nothing but if you send them, hi, I'm Dave Noriega, and I want to start Dave Noriega LLC, and they'll set it up for you, and you register it there. And because Montana does not have a sales tax, you get away with not paying it. So if you look at the sales tax rate of 7-8%, depending on what county you're in, that can be on a $100,000 vehicle, on a $300,000 boat. We're talking real money, tens of thousands of dollars. And so the state has been for a long time trying to figure out, how do we enforce this? Because it's really tricky. If you see a guy driving down the street with a Montana plate, you don't know that he's just driving through. The law says you got 60 days. So you don't know if this is just somebody driving through, here visiting for Christmas, whatever the case may be, or whether or not this is somebody who's moved to Utah or lives in Utah, and the car mostly resides in Utah, and they're not paying for their fair share of the maintaining the roads and maintaining the waterways. And so they've come up with a system now where they think this will help them crack down on it. And they're using a company called InsureRight, which they've already used Sloan, how is InsureRight?
Let's bring Sloan Schrag into the investigative producer on these stories.
Yeah, InsureRight compares the DMV database of registered vehicles and compares that to insurance records from insurance companies around the state. And they're already checking for uninsured motorists. And so this new law that's up on Capitol Hill just allows that company to extend a little bit further and look for, if there's a mismatch between the vehicle being registered in the state of Utah and the insurance, not being registered in the state of Utah, and the insurance says it is insured in Utah, then that's a mismatch that they can send a letter to the
So
owner.
let me walk through this in my brain. Sloan, help me out. Let's say I do this. I used to be a boat owner many years ago, and let's say I went up to Montana and I registered my boat up there, didn't pay any sales tax up there, but I did have my boat insured. Clearly, I mean, that's what you have to do, and that's what you do. So what it would show then is that, Deb's got insurance in the state of Utah for her boat, but she doesn't have it registered here.
That's correct. And
okay.
What happens, you want to tell the insurance companies, honestly, the truth, because if you're lying to them, if you tell them that your vehicle is in Montana when it's not, they're not going to insure your claim. If you have a damage or you're in a collision, they won't cover that.
They'll investigate it and see if you were actually living up there.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And as you were saying, the 60 days, if there was this investigation, the insurance will say, hey, has this vehicle been in your driveway for 365 days? Has it been here, or has it been up in Montana the whole time? So the peeling back the layers comes from the insurance company.
Well, yeah, they just submit the information where the boat is registered, or where the vehicle, the car, where it's registered. And then InsureRight just looks at this database and says, hey, we have the vehicles that are registered here, but they don't have they don't have insurance here, but they're registered out of state, that sort of thing. They're just comparing records back and forth, and there's a mismatch, then the owner will get a letter.
We're speaking right now live with Matt Gephardt and Sloan Schrag of the KSL5 investigative team. We're looking into a proposal on Capitol Hill. It's one that's been brewing for quite some time as lawmakers look for a way to crack down on people who are purchasing vehicles and boats and other like RVs here in the state of Utah, but skating around Utah sales tax by going up to Montana and registering those vehicles because Montana doesn't charge a sales tax. Utah does. I know the state's been concerned with Matt losing quite a bit of tax money.
Tens of millions of dollars,
yeah.
I think. Hard to say for sure because, again, how do you know if the guy driving down the street with a Montana plate is just driving through or if he's been here for a while? But they have estimated that it's in the $60 to $70 million annually of what they're losing by people skirting the system.
So let me open up our phone lines, 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. We're going to take your live calls. I know a lot of people have some really hot feelings about this one way or the other. Is it time to levy the fine? And the fine, remind us, Sloan, what the fine would be if somebody was caught doing this.
Well, first of all, they'll have to pay the sales tax that they thought they dodged, and then they'll have to pay a penalty, which is 100% sales tax. So it ends up kind of being essentially double sales tax.
So if we take a very luxury boat, a $300,000 boat, it's 7%. That's a $21,000 sales tax. So they'd have to pay the $21,000. If they don't pay within those 60 days and getting the warning, then it would be $42,000.
Right.
And by the way, it's not just people driving $300,000 boats and $100,000 cars that are doing this.
Right.
It's 7-8% added onto your $20,000 Prius. It can be financially beneficial to someone to open these LLCs and do that stuff, but now they're trying to crack down but it is against the law, and now they're trying to crack down and punish people for it.
801-575-TALK. Call in. Let us know if you think it's time to levy the fine. But maybe you think, hey, I should be able to register my car anywhere in the United States I want to register it in. It is a free country after all, and if I want to register it in a state that doesn't charge sales tax, that's my right. 801-575-TALK. We'll take your live calls in just a minute.
So, Matt, if say I purchased a boat 10 years ago and it's been registered up in Montana the entire time, do I have to pay like the back taxes for what I purchased it 10 years ago back in 2014? Or how do they calculate that?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer. Sloan?
I believe the answer is that it's the sales tax that you should have paid when you bought the vehicle. I don't think they're going to include back years and all that stuff like that. From what my understanding
So it's not going to be the depreciated value of the current value of my vehicle.
Yeah, from what I looked at the law, it says basically it's the sales tax you should have paid when you bought the vehicle.
So if I bought it for $100,000 back in 2014 and now it's only worth $20,000, I'm still going to be paying that sales tax, the back tax, so to speak, on that $100,000.
That's correct.
What I think really works in this legislation, and people who are doing this might disagree with me, is the amount of the fine is stiff, that it would hurt, and I think it would force people to pay up when they get that letter in the mail. Matt, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it costs a lot of money to put in roads. It costs a lot of money to maintain waterways. Our legislature has done its thing to maintain these things, and so the penalties are basically leveling the playing field. So the law is not saying, "Ha, you're busted, we got you." The law is basically giving people a grace window, as I read it. There's a 60-day window, which basically says we believe you are breaking this law. You have 60 days to come into compliance, to register your vehicle in the state of Utah, and to pay sales tax in the state of Utah. And if you don't, then you get the penalty. So it's really levying the initial tax and basically giving people a chance without a major penalty to come into compliance. I would, I'm a journalist. I try to keep my 2 cents out of it, but it doesn't seem terribly unfair to me.
Yeah, if you're buying it essentially to be used here, you're using these marinas. Yeah, I mean this is clearly what's fair, right? I mean, if you're using our roads, then we should be paying, whether it's the waterways or the roads.
One of the things that's kind of tricky about this is we run into situations where people do live two different places a lot of times, right?
So we got a text on our text line, 57500, that alludes to that, Matt. And this listener asks us, what if I own a cabin in Montana or even an acre of some sort of unimproved land? How will that jive with this law or this proposal if it passes and becomes state law?
It's where the thing resides. Utah law says 60 days in the state of Utah. And so it's where the boat, where the car, where the OHV, whatever the case may be, where it resides is where you owe the tax.
So I could theoretically set this all up. The way to do this legally would be set up the LLC in Montana, and then the boat has actually got to stay in Montana. So I've got to park it there, and then I can bring it into Utah up to 60 days throughout the year. But I've got to be able to prove or document the fact that the boat is largely for 300 days in Montana.
If the boat lives in Montana, then there's nothing against the law about somebody who lives in Montana who has a boat bringing their boat to Utah and using our waterways and paying the fee to get in the door and whatever. That's legal in the state of Utah.
One of our listeners on our text line says, wouldn't it be easier to police the dealerships and find them? It's an out-of-state. Well, I don't
think the dealerships will know. They
And what about private sales? I think too.
Private sales will be the tough. I think
this happens all the time. Not the last car. A car I purchased in the past did not come from a Utah dealership. It came from a Colorado dealership and was registered in the state of Utah because that's where the car is going to reside and that's where I live. But I purchased the thing on the internet and brought it here, right? And so it would be tough to police the dealerships. I mean, the dealerships, you could put the onus on them and say, hey, you're supposed to ask people. I suppose if a dealership was coaching someone on how to commit this fraud, that'd be a problem. But if I say, I live in Montana, I'm just buying a car from you, there's nothing, that happens all the time. It's especially with companies now out there like Carvana and the rest of them. I mean, you're buying cars sight unseen, and they're coming from all over the country and being shipped to you.
See, I think where people who've done this start to get heartburn. It's really what ends up happening is that databases start to sync up this information, and then it exposes. Like we talked about, the millions of dollars that the state is losing in sales tax, and the state's like, we're not going to do that anymore. We're not going to allow that to happen anymore. We know if you recreate in Utah, there are trails that need to be maintained. You know that there are boat ramps that need to be repaired. You know that there are facilities at our lakes that need to be kept up. And $60-70 million, I don't know, is that an annual loss or is that a total loss?
Annual.
It's still a lot of annually.
Every year.
It's
That's
just
real
a
money.
ton of money.
That's real money.
It's a ton of money. And where I would get bugged, I've known people who've done this, or I get bugged, is like I'm doing everything by the book, whether you think the book is rewritten for you in a different way, okay, but I'm doing everything by the book because I appreciate our outdoor, our lakes and our trails and whatever else, and the fact that our roads can be maintained. And I don't mind paying my fair share of that. 801-575-TALK. We're taking live calls. Caitlin, do we have any live calls coming through yet? Caitlin, do we have any live calls coming through? We have a caller on the line. Let's take that live call. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, I'm sorry. I'm Maria at Cedar Hills. Hi, I'm sorry. My computer is glitching a little bit. Have you done this?
I haven't done it. We used to live in Oregon, which also does not have sales tax. And we have some people that we know that have lived here for over 5 years, and they still register their cars in Oregon at their son's address. And they only have to do this every other year in Oregon.
Yeah, and so this law, that is against the law. And the way that this new law would do is if it would recognize, assuming they get insurance in the state of Utah and aren't sending their insurance to the state of Oregon, it would say, like, wait a minute, you have insurance in Utah, but you have cars registered in Oregon. You're clearly breaking the rules here, and that would be how they get popped. If they are also breaking the insurance company's rules and getting the insurance through, saying that they live in Oregon and getting insurance through there, then they're taking a major risk, because if and when they total their vehicles, insurance companies tend to investigate. I don't know if you've seen the news, but insurance companies don't tend to like paying out claims. And so they start investigating these things. And so now all of a sudden you got a $30,000, $40,000 claim. They look for ways not to pay frequently. And if they are able to do it, they might say, like, hey, you said you lived in Oregon and this thing got wrecked in the state of Utah. And we also see you are a property owner in Utah. We're not paying your claim.
Let me speak a little bit to the folks that may be doing this, because when we talk about sales tax, this is one of the great frustrations that I have when it comes to sales tax on vehicles. So let's say you buy a boat, $100,000, you pay that 7%. That's $7,000. And then, you know what, I sell it in a couple years for $90,000. Then I sell it a couple years after that for $80,000, then $50,000. In those 4 sales, I will have paid somebody will have paid $22,000 on the exact same boat. Yeah. The boat hasn't changed. All it's done is depreciate and get cheaper, but you've paid $22,000. You're constantly paying sales tax on the exact same vehicle.
We can have a deep conversation about whether or not the tax system in the state and the country works, but that is the way it is set up in the state of Utah right now.
I want to get to Dan. It sounds like you've got your vehicles registered in Montana. Is this going to cause you some problems financially, Dan, if you get a letter?
Well, so they've already started sending out the letters. Here's the thing, though. So my parents, their company has been manufacturing my.
You still there, Dan? Oh,
we lost him.
Bummer.
Give us a call back if you can, Dan.
Give us a call back at 801-575-TALK, because we want to hear the rest of that story, and time is running a little bit short here. So hurry up and dial back. He said something about already sending out the letters. Do you guys know anything? Have you heard anything about that?
There's a law that will allow InsureRight to. They've been sending out letters. This is not a new law.
Yeah.
You have 60 days to register a vehicle in the state of Utah. When they suspect something, and this can happen in any number of ways, if the person who called before wanted to report their neighbor to the Motor Vehicle Enforcement Division, they would send out a letter.
I see.
Right? So a letter going out is not necessarily the InsureRight thing being used. That part has not been passed yet.
This law would allow better coordination between InsureRight.
Basically, a company that Utah already coordinates with and saying, hey, share your records for this purpose.
Dan's back. Hi, Dan. Can you give us a 30-second version? Go for it.
So my parents have been manufacturing medical devices in Montana for the last 25 or so years. And so the company actually started in 1999. So I guess, we're going on 26 now. But anyway, both of my vehicles, both my truck and my car, are both registered in Montana because the company is based out of Montana. Even though I live here in Utah, the cars, they belong to the company. But, I drive them here in Utah, which my, insurance says Utah insurance card, but, they're They're based out of Montana. That's where the company is.
If the car lives in Utah, you're breaking the law.
Dan, you still there?
Yeah.
Sorry,
I'm
Dan.
Here, but
Oh, Dan.
It is.
Dan, how much you gonna owe?
Talk to your legislator.
How much you gonna owe, Dan?
But the company is based out of Montana, so
Where's the car?
I'll change it there.
Where's the car based?
So the car is actually based out of Montana, but I sell here.
Yeah,
So
the car's not based out of
University
Montana. The
Utah,
car is in
another
Utah.
company.
The car's in Utah. You sell in
Dan.
Utah, you're breaking the law.
Dan, hold the line. Our producer, Caitlin, wants to get with you and ask you a couple of follow-up questions. So she's going to chat with you. Matt, Sloan, amazing. Thank you so much. Lawmakers poised to pass this, you think?
That's a good question. We reached out to the lawmaker on this one. We didn't hear back before we reported it last night. So, but I know it has strong support from the Motor Vehicle Enforcement Division. They've been beating this drum for more than a year now.
We're going to go live to Capitol Hill in the 11 o'clock hour to get the latest on this. So we'll let you know what we hear as well. Great reporting. Thanks so much. Matt Gephardt, Sloan Schrag from the KSL 5 investigative team. Straight ahead, we're going to stay on the Hill to find out about a proposal to change the way we vote. Spoiler alert, mailing your ballot back might not be an option if this lawmaker gets his plan through.
The voters believe in larger numbers that you should show your ID when you vote.
Join the smartest conversation in Utah, the team of analysts and political advisors that make up Inside Sources. Get unfiltered analysis of the new administration, the president's cabinet, and Utah's upcoming legislative session. Inside Sources, weekdays from 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
15 years ago, we were adding on to our home, and so I convinced Sean we should update the kitchen.
We did some research and we decided to go with 3-Day Kitchen and Bath. Their reputation was phenomenal. To design, do the construction and the finish work, what we wanted was what we got from start to finish. So fast forward 15 years, our family's changed. We've gotten bigger.
There just wasn't the space in the kitchen anymore. People were banging into each other.
We decided 3-Day Kitchen and Bath. Here's the problem. What are our solutions? Comparing working with 3-Day Kitchen and Bath 15 years ago, today, their ability to design what you want was the same.
Everything has been what I want.
The quality of 3-Day Kitchen and Bath, I think, is phenomenal. The countertops and the cabinets that they use are great. They were just good guys doing good work.
For more about your new kitchen or bath, visit 3daykitchen.com.
3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Hi, I'm Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox. In these trying times, when inflation is out of control and our paychecks give us less and less money to support our families, the last thing any of us can afford is for the IRS to garnish wages, levy bank accounts, or seize assets. It's important now more than ever to protect your financial security.
We have reduced our tax liability by over $42,000.
$66,300.
Let us safeguard you. Visit endtaxworry.com. We have saved countless taxpayers like you millions of dollars, kept businesses in operation, and ensured that our clients receive the best possible outcome.
Nearly $65,000.
$12,000 is something that you can look at and say, okay, I can handle that.
I'm Jordan Wilcox, your Utah tax attorney. You work hard for your money. Let us work hard for you. Visit endtaxworry.com.
We're very grateful.
Welcome to Staples.
I am so pumped. My business is going to kill it this year.
Awesome. How can I help?
First, a new computer.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you save big on tech.
And new posters.
Save on custom printing, too.
And,
a new chair?
A chair? Who has time to sit?
Maybe all your new clients?
Now you're talking.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you'll find huge savings on custom prints, storage, chairs, and tech. And now save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
6161.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
Welcome to Staples.
I am so pumped. My business is going to kill it this year.
Awesome. How can I help?
First, a new computer.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you save big on tech.
And new posters.
Save on custom printing, too.
And,
a new chair?
A chair? Who has time to sit?
Maybe all your new clients?
Now you're talking.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you'll find huge savings on custom prints, storage, chairs, and tech. And now save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story right now, it's not too warm, but tomorrow is the warm before the storm. On Friday night, we'll be, looks like we'll get up to about 41 degrees tomorrow, and then we'll have a chance of snow late in the evening into Saturday. The Utah County Winter Response Task Force is turning to cities to ask for additional voluntary funding for its warming centers. Organizers say more people than expected have needed the help.
We're seeing a little bit higher than what we expected. We told the state we would see around 75, but now we're seeing, especially these last few nights that have been really bitter cold, higher numbers than that.
Utah County Commissioner and Task Force Chair Brandon Gordon says around 10 cities have already agreed to provide donations to help pay for improved lighting, blankets, and other supplies at the centers. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump has ordered 1,500 troops to the southern border. The White House saying the president is fulfilling his campaign promises on immigration.
An immigrant detention bill is now headed to the president's desk. The Lake and Riley Act passing with some bipartisan support, marking the first piece of legislation President Donald Trump could sign into law. The bill, named for the 22-year-old Georgia nursing student killed by an undocumented migrant, requires ICE to detain undocumented migrants accused of theft and violent crimes. The bill would be costly to enforce. ICE estimates it would cost close to $27 billion in the first year alone.
ABC News senior political correspondent Rachel Scott reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 238 now. That's 0.5%. We're at 44,395. Coming up, sunny today but cold. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Every once in a while, you may still see a Master Electrical vehicle kind of driving around your neighborhood. Well, Master Electrical Service has actually joined forces now with Mountain Home Services.
Yeah, Master Electrical Service has been around for so long, 1954. Now that they've joined forces with Mountain Home Services, they can work on your electrical, replace those old outlets that you need to have updated, light switches, maybe you need some new recessed lighting. And additionally, they can also help you with your HVAC, your heating and air and your plumbing.
And this has been great for me because Mountain Home Services has installed my furnace in the past, and it has hummed along beautifully. They've done the service on it. So I've been very happy. I've seen firsthand the competency and how expert they are in this.
Yeah, upfront pricing guarantee. Don't forget that. Super important because that means that the price that they quote you when they come out to look at the job is the price that you pay when the job is done. And that means no hidden fees.
Because I think all of us have probably been bitten by the bid bug, where they come out, they give you this amazing bid, and then when the invoice actually comes, it's not so great. So you're not going to see that with Mountain Home Services. Go ahead and check them out online, mountainhomeservices.com. That's mountainhomeservices.com.
Or you can give them a call at 801-543-2222. Again, 801-543-2222.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. And here's Jason Jones.
Right lane is still blocked southbound I-15 at 5th East and American Fork, and likewise just before Center Street in Orem. However, because the volume southbound I-15 in Utah County at this time of the morning is fairly light, the delays are very minimal when you get through those stretches. In fact, the only real delay we see is the one just before Center Street, and that's just only for a couple of blocks. It's not that big of a delay. Everything else is looking pretty decent for your midday commute. Well, sort of early midday commute, I guess I should say. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be sunny but cold, the high around 36 degrees. Right now, it's 25 downtown. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave, what do you think about this new proposal on Utah's Capitol Hill? Of course, we're in day 3 of the legislative session. Still have 42 more days to go. This one would replace your ability to drop your mail-in ballot off at the mailbox to return it after you cast your vote at the kitchen table. And you actually have to bring it back to like a polling location along with your ID to have your face and your ID verified right there before you dropped off your ballot.
So if you've been using the U.S. Postal Service in the past, this would prevent that. Right? Am I understanding that correctly?
That's my understanding of it. We're going to get more from the representative who's sponsoring this legislation. He spoke earlier this morning to Amanda and Andy on Utah's Morning News. So we're going to go in depth on that conversation in just a moment. But on its face, when I think about how often I've walked my ballot back into like a polling location or a ballot box, I can honestly say like 0. I use the mailbox. I drop it at the Postal Service. So now I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to have to build time in to go drop it off. I think they're looking at opening the window 10 days before Election Day. So I have to make sure I'm around and available 10 days before Election Day to drive over to a ballot box, have my ID checked, and then drop off my ballot. I really like going to the U.S. Postal Service and just going through the drive-thru and mailing my ballot that way, or walking into the actual post office and putting it in the slot. I really like that about the way we do mail-in voting.
And I think we've always loved convenience. We love convenience on so many levels. We see it when we're on the Amazon website. There's the one-click buy where you just punch the button and it's instantly purchased. You don't even need to go through the checkout. We love convenience. That doesn't necessarily mean that convenience is the best way to do something. In fact, Amazon has dealt with major lawsuits regarding that one-click button. So just because it's convenient and just because we've done it in the past, I don't think necessarily means it's the best practice.
Well, for you, though, your experience is you do go walk into the ballot
Always
box,
have, yeah.
But you take your family's ballots with you.
Yeah, the whole stack of family.
So now the whole stack of family going to have to go with you to the ballot box.
Yeah, and that is a little bit unique. We can go into more details what that would look like, but you would need to physically drop off your ballot and bring your ID.
Yeah, but you and I for years have come at this from totally opposite situations where I drive through the post office and you walk into the ballot box. For you, this is not much of a change at all, except for you're going to have to load up the family van and drive everybody over there with you.
Yeah.
Because you won't be able to corral all of their ballots, which I don't know how hard that is for you with kids in different parts of the state now. If you're doing that drop off for them too, they'll be on their own they will be on their own to do it.
Yeah, and they're going to have to be proactive and figure it out themselves because let's be honest, with young kids, oftentimes you have to encourage them.
Yeah,
like, hey,
I see that.
remember, let's fill out our ballots and get it done, and you walk them through. And then I have absolutely taken the stack of ballots they filled out and then just dropped it off. Now, I always drop it off on Election Day, not because for any other reason than I procrastinate. And it's very easy. You just go to the ballot box, you drop it off, and you walk off. I will say this, though. It will take a minute, right? If you've got to go in, every single person has got to verify with their ID. They got to get checked off on a list before you can submit the ballot. what used to be a 30-second or a 15-second drop-off could turn into a line.
So let's listen right now to Representative Jefferson Burton's pitch. He joined Amanda and Andy this morning on Utah's Morning News about this proposal, which would take away the ability for, people like me to drive over to the post office and drop our mail-in ballots in the mail. We'd have to take it to the ballot box to drop it off and bring our ID with us.
We've heard from the citizens of Utah, and we've been very careful to use polls and surveys to determine how they feel about voting. And clearly they like the mail-in ballot option. And so this bill would allow the ballots to continue to be mailed to folks, allow them to, have them on the kitchen table and talk about it and think about it for a week or so as they decide how they're going to vote. But once they make those selections and seal the envelope, this bill would then require that voters would take that envelope to a polling station, and we would begin that process 10 days prior to Election Day to avoid lines. And they would then take that ballot and see a human being who would look at their ID and put that ballot in a secure lockbox. And then that ballot would be able to go directly to the county clerks for tabulation. And in this way, we avoid the challenge we had this past election with postmarks and mail being lost and rerouted to the wrong location, which ultimately we can believe may have changed one of our congressional elections. And so the purpose of this bill is twofold. A Pew Research poll showed that 81% of Americans believe we should show identification when we vote, and it would allow that to happen. And then secondly, take the Postal Service out of the equation on the back end of the vote.
Representative Burton, does this disenfranchise all the missionaries serving from Utah? Because I know I had to send my son's ballot to him, and he mailed it from Oregon where he was serving. Does that mean he wouldn't be able to vote?
Not at all. We would still do the absentee ballot system. Myself, I was in the U.S. military, and I voted for 4 years while in Europe, and that would not change this. But the bottom line is that system would still be in place for absentee voting. But for those that are here, we just think this is the will of the people. The polls and surveys we've done show that folks believe in a fairly large number that ID should be shown.
Is it because they fear fraud? I'm not aware of any significant fraud in the voting process the way it's been handled in Utah. Are you, Representative?
No, we did a survey, and we also did an audit, and those results are available. There were some anomalies. We found dead people that voted, and we also found people that voted for folks that weren't in the state, i.e., they filled out the envelope and actually signed it for the other person, which is felonious. You can't do that. And so, again, it wasn't widespread, but there was some, and the voters believe in larger numbers that you should show your ID when you vote, and I agree with that.
So, for example, this time I actually dropped my ballot off. I filled it out at home, and I went straight to the polling location and dropped it off, and it was really nice to walk past all the lines of the people who were waiting to actually vote. But now it sounds like maybe I'll have to wait in line myself.
No, not necessarily. We're working on the devil in the details, and that is that the counties will have multiple locations for you to drop these. We're going to open those 10 days prior to Election Day. So from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., you can go to any of those polling locations and drop them off. There'll be a real person there to look at you and your ID and then take that into custody. The other thing this kind of helps to avoid is the curing times. And many Utahns expressed dismay that it took so long to get our election results out this past election. This should resolve that because, whatever the clerk has at the end of election day, that is all that they're going to have to tabulate and count. And so we think we'll get earlier results, which many Utahns in a recent survey conducted by Sutherland Institute indicated that they were concerned about how long it took for those results to get released.
That's Utah State Representative Jefferson Burton, who joined Amanda and Andy this morning to talk about his proposal on Capitol Hill that would require us to go to like a polling location and drop off our mail-in ballots and show ID. I do want to just make sure that we're clear. When they did that election audit, last year. Then that released that from 2023. They looked at the voters. They audited the voting system. They found only 2 people who were deemed to be deceased appeared to have cast ballots in 2023. So I want to make sure we're clear on that. It was 2 out of some 2 million registered voters.
Yeah, just infinitesimally small numbers. So what do you think? Do you like this idea of having to provide your ID to drop off your ballot? Are you on board? 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK.
Boy, right after the holidays, everyone needs a little cash, right?
Oh, yes.
We have great news for you. Right now, UCCU, Utah Community Credit Union, will pay you for your auto loan and credit balances. So all you have to do is just transfer your auto loan or your credit card balance to UCCU. And on top of giving you a low interest rate, which will save you money, UCCU will give you 1% cash back up to $250 on every loan you transfer.
Amanda, as soon as I heard about this, I said, I'm in this exact situation. I actually had to have 2 loans to get my car a year ago. Yeah. Long story. Got it consolidated into one, and they paid me 1% back for each thing. I've got 1 payment now instead of 2. It's so much easier, and it took me maybe basically an hour. I just went straight to the website. I applied. They said, you got to send me these documents. I did, and all of a sudden, within a couple of days, I had it all set.
This is how easy they are to work with, always looking for ways to help you and your family. You can find out more on the UCCU mobile banking app or just go to uccu.com/transfer. Utah Community Credit Union. You're going to love where you bank.
Things are just better with a partner or a friend. And when it comes to losing weight, Soda Weight Loss makes it easier than ever to let go of the weight for good.
I'd been wanting to lose weight, and I tried on my own. I'd been seeing things for soda, and so we talked to the nutritionist and loved every bit of it. You know, I couldn't be happier, honestly, with the result.
Join with a partner and only pay for one. Imagine achieving all your weight loss goals together with your partner, and you only pay for one.
I've let go 50 pounds, and I don't have the cravings that I used to have.
I would definitely recommend soda. It's because it works. I even recommended it to my daughter, and she's on her journey now.
Just go and look at the almost 9,000 Google reviews about soda weight loss. Lose the weight without injections, without medications, without hunger. Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Dave and Dujanovic.
We're taking your phone calls right now at 801-575-TALK over this legislative proposal on Utah's Capitol Hill. Representative Jefferson Burton joined Andy and Amanda earlier today to talk about what this piece of legislation would do if it passed, and it has to do with how we vote. You wouldn't be allowed, essentially, to drop off your ballot at a mail facility, U.S. Postal Service. You have to bring it into a ballot box and show your ID to a poll worker.
This bill would allow the ballots to continue to be mailed to folks, allow them to have them on the kitchen table and talk about it and think about it for a week or so as they decide how they're going to vote. But once they make those selections and seal the envelope, this bill would then require that voters would take that envelope to a polling station, and we would begin that process 10 days prior to Election Day to avoid lines.
801-575-TALK. We'd love to hear from you. Are you on board with this, having to prove and provide your ID before you can actually cast your ballot? Now, the ballot would still arrive in your mail. They would still deliver it that way, and you could fill it out the way you have always and then sign it. But then to drop it off, you'd have to drop it off at the ballot box at a polling location, and then you'd have to show your ID. Are you on board with this? Do you like this idea? Does this make you feel more secure about elections? 801-575-TALK. Let's jump out to James in Ogden. Oh, it sounds like your sister has arthritis, so leaving the house might be difficult.
It is. She's got debilitating rheumatoid arthritis, and I didn't hear anything from the representative about how this would accommodate those who are homebound, for one, and number two, it like Debbie was saying, it totally defeats the purpose. Why even mail it out then if you've got to go to the polling station and show your ID anyway? And number three, where's the proof of this widespread fraud? 2 people out of 3 million.
It was 2 million, registered voters. 2
million.
people were deemed deceased, on that audit that was released. I think it was released in December, James.
And this, I don't know, it's one of my pet peeves, how things like this come about from social media fear-mongering and the polls. Where were the polls and surveys that the representative quoted? I'm just sitting here shaking my head, wondering.
And I think your question too about your sister and, like you said, her debilitating arthritis is very, very valid. In fact, we're going to get a county clerk on the line in the 11 o'clock hour, and we'll ask that specific question, what their read of this legislative proposal is.
And you ask about the polls. I've seen several polls. I'm looking at one from the Gallup, and about 8 in 10 Americans favor both early voting, but also photo ID laws. So having to prove that you are that person and it's the proper thing, that has widespread favor amongst Americans. But it's a fair question. Now, one of the questions that was asked to Andy Farnsworth asked the representative that's pushing this bill was, okay, well, what if my son is on a mission and he wants to cast a ballot and he can't drop it off because he's out of state? And the representative said the absentee voter will still be allowed. You can still, if you're in the military, if you're on the mission, you can still send it in.
Phone lines are lighting up. Hi, Francis. You're also worried at people who have disabilities being able to drop off their ballot.
Yeah, I didn't get to hear all of James's because they put me on late enough that I missed part of the conversation.
That's okay, but this is your concern.
It really is. I have a friend who was bedbound. She couldn't get out for her to go. They'd have to take the hospital bed to the voting place. And that's just not possible, and that's not feasible.
Thanks for your phone call, Francis. We appreciate it. Let's get to David and Murray. It sounds like you're like me. You enjoy going to the post office and dropping off your ballot.
We want to participate in our family, but we're a little bit compromised health-wise. We still have to be very, very careful in large groups. And I think that first caller, he said, this is fear-mongering. We don't have problems with our current system. And what Dave just said, 2 dead people out of the millions that were cast, and that was done incorrectly. Come on, this isn't necessary. Let's just keep it the way it is. The checks and balances are working great.
There is a problem that we can address. It's easy to say, hey, listen, there was only 2 dead people that voted. That's not to say there aren't issues when voting. We have a signature verification process that goes on, and more often, no, I won't say more often than not, but more often than you would think, they have signature verification issues where perhaps a mother will sign for her husband or her child, or a husband will sign for his wife, and they sign each other's ballots. That is inappropriate. That's illegal. You can't do that. And that is happening often enough that there are signature verifiers in every single county that have to make personal phone calls and emails and text messages to educate people and say, you can't do this. You're voting illegally. And they try to educate people in this.
And this, if passed, would seemingly prevent that, because each person would have to drop off their ballot with an ID, and that the poll worker would take that ballot from them. So that would also mean that dads like you couldn't collect all the ballots from all the voters in your family and walk them to the ballot box, because each of your kids, your family members, would have to go independently and verify. 801-575-TALK. These calls are really rolling in, Dave. I think we have another call.
Michael in Taylorsville, you don't have a car.
I don't have a car, and I'm legally blind, and they wouldn't let me drive if I did have one. And I'm just concerned about the disabled people that I don't know what the percentage is, even if it was 5%. It really makes it inconvenient. If they do this, I'm calling my legislature and telling them that I oppose the bill. What's the bill number?
Well, and they're working on it right now. We'll get you that bill number. We're going to revisit this in the 11 o'clock hour at 11:35. We're asking one of the county clerks to call in and talk about what they think of this proposal. And we will make sure we get the exact number for you. We'll put it on the air at that time. But I think these are valid concerns. Like, is there something in the legislation that would be baked into it to make sure that people were getting their ballots if they cannot, or getting their ballots turned in if they are disabled?
And I'm highly sympathetic for folks that genuinely cannot leave their home, right? But that is a very small percentage. If we're being totally honest, the number of people that never leave their home, they can't grab an Uber, to go to the store or the movies or drop off your ballot. The number of people that are truly homebound and cannot go anywhere, we should have something in place for those folks. Absolutely, no question. But also, I don't see the heartache here in saying, hey, folks, if you want to drop off your ballot, you have to provide your ID. IDs with ballot verification, that has statewide and countrywide support. It's been very popular to say, yeah, I think you should have to provide an ID to vote.
Just in case you want it right now, it's House Bill 300. It's entitled Amendments to Election Law. House Bill 300. We'll come back in the 11 o'clock hour with more. Next, for some who want to run for political office, the bar might feel really high to get on the ballot. So should Utah make it easier? That's next.
Don't be worried. Be ready.
KSL News Radio has partnered with Be Ready Utah to provide the plans your family needs for an emergency, the tools and supplies to keep on hand, and the knowledge on how to keep a cool head.
It's Be Ready Utah. Listen to our show, Dave and Dujanovic, for Be Ready tips and tools.
Or you can always find the latest preparation info at BeReadyUtah.gov.
Be Ready Utah with KSL News Radio.
If you have a garage door issue, do you know who to call? Well, now you do. Advanced Garage Doors.
Yeah, they've got these certified technicians. They're experts. They're standing by and available 24/7 with same-day service.
Yeah, let me just give you the number right out of the gate. 801-989-DOOR. Very easy to remember. 801-989-DOOR. If you have problems, if you want a new one, you can call Advanced Garage Doors.
And they've got these free zero-cost estimates as well to give you an itemized list of things to make sure that your garage door is functioning properly, because they've got that proprietary 23-point safety inspection. You want to make sure your garage is up to the task.
I'll be honest, I had no idea there were 23 points in my garage to even inspect. That's why you have the experts come out and do it. Any garage door or motor that is installed by Advanced Garage Door is going to include a free annual inspection and a tune-up once a year.
Yep, financing is available. And also remember, you can design your dream garage door right on their website. And we know that a new garage door can transform the look of your home.
Yeah, check them out online, advanced-door.com. That's advanced-door.com.
Or you can always call them. That number Dave gave you, 801-989-DOOR. 801-989-3667.
Hey, you. I knew I'd find you back in the same aisle. What are you looking for today? More fiber? More laxatives? More of the same ways to manage your constipation? Look, if your constipation with belly pain keeps coming back, you may have irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C. Ask your doctor how Linzess can help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
If you've ever set New Year's resolutions before, you know how difficult it is to follow through because you have to wait to see the results. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and in honor of your New Year, New You resolutions, Any Hour Services is having our New Year, New System sale. From now until the end of February, Any Hour Services will give you $2,025 off a new furnace and air conditioner. And you don't have to wait to save the money. You get $2,025 off at the time of purchase. The only thing you have to do to qualify for our New Year, New System sale is call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate. When you call, there's no obligation to buy. Just schedule a time to meet that works best for you. Let me say that again. From now until the end of February, when you have Any Hour Services install a new furnace and air conditioner, we'll give you $2,025 off. Call Any Hour Services right now and schedule a free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
This January, Ogden is the epicenter of amazing RV deals during the Northern Utah RV Show, January 23rd to the 25th. Inside the Golden Spike Event Center, you'll find unbeatable pricing on new and used travel trailers starting as low as $129 per month on approved credit, and fifth wheels starting as low as $349 per month OAC. You'll also find every remaining new 2024 on clearance during the show. Plus, you can play now and pay later with no payments until April OAC. We'll also have the entire lineup of Go Play travel trailers ready to tour and take home at the lowest pricing of the year. Start shopping the biggest deals now at NorthUtahRVShow.com. On top of unbeatable pricing, every RV purchase receives a free 1-year RV Fix membership, your fast track to RV service repairs. Get in for free to Ogden's biggest new and used RV sale, the Northern Utah RV Show. 3 days only, January 23rd through the 25th, inside the Golden Spike Event Center. Sponsored by Bish's RV.
Stock numbers 81734-87503. Based on 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 to 240 months. Subject to prior sale. See dealer details.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story: film critics and fans are arriving from around the world to attend the Sundance Film Festival that kicks off today. A reminder that Main Street is closed to vehicles this year as a safety measure. Festival goers are urged to use the city's free public transit along with park and ride lots. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: President Trump is virtually addressing the global business leaders attending the Davos Economic Forum. He's being asked questions and was asked about the U.S. relationship with the EU.
And they make it very difficult to bring products into Europe, and yet they expect to be selling, and they do sell their products in the United States. So we have, hundreds of billions of dollars of deficits with the EU, and nobody's happy with it, and we're going to do something about it.
The president also criticized the time it takes to get business proposals approved in the EU. Your money at this moment. Let's take a look and see where the markets are. The Dow is up 250 points at this hour. That's 0.5%. We're at 44,407. Coming up, we do have a small storm on the way this weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Where can you kick off the new year with big savings on gig speed? Only with Xfinity. Now through January 30th, get gig internet at home for $25 a month for 1 year when you add an unlimited mobile line, which connects you with gig speed Wi-Fi on the road. Act fast today and save more than $650 over AT&T and Verizon in your first year. Plus, hurry and take advantage because right now you can also get a free 5G phone with trade-in. So save big and stay connected to what you love with fast gig speed internet and mobile from home to hotspots. This new year, it's all about gig speeds and big savings. Don't wait and get gig speed internet, spend less green, and switch to Xfinity. Go to xfinity.com/gig savings to learn more. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment taxes and fees extra. $40 internet discount applied to mobile bill after promo. Regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon Fiber Gig Plus 1 unlimited welcome line and AT&T Fiber Gig Plus 1 unlimited starter line. Xfinity internet required reduced speeds after 30 gigabytes of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual speeds vary.
Experience the Crossings by Fieldstone Homes. Enjoy elevated lifestyle in this beautiful Heber Valley Luxury Series community near parks, a fishing pond, pool, and clubhouse minutes from Park City, Salt Lake City in Utah County. With serene mountain views and plenty of fresh air, we stand out in the Crossings with unique transitional architecture and options for built-in rental suites or ADU apartments. These homes are simply gorgeous and near 2 reservoirs, Provo River, Daniels Summit, and ski resorts. Join Fieldstone Homes for a truly unique home buying solution. Saturday, January 25th, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the grand opening of the Crossroads in Heber. Enjoy lunch from the on-site food truck and grand opening giveaways while you explore these beautiful new homes. Design your new home or select a quick move-in home. The curated Fieldstone design and architecture is unmatched. With multiple incentive offers and floor plans starting in the mid-900s, you've got to visit fieldstonehomes.com for details. Fieldstone Homes. It's time.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. And here's Jason Jones.
All lanes of traffic now open southbound I-15 as the two accidents, the one in American Fork and the other one at Center Street in Orem, have been cleared. So traffic is moving smoothly there. In fact, traffic is moving smoothly on I-15 all along the Wasatch Front. We have no accidents or delays to report. All your major feeders over to I-15 are looking good. Canyons are open with no restrictions and traffic moving smoothly in both directions there as well. Lagoon is hiring full-time year-round ride maintenance technicians and electricians with journeyman or apprentice level experience. Apply online at lagoonpark.com/jobs. Must be 18 years of age or older to apply. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
We should hit 36 today, 41 tomorrow. Then a small storm moves in on Saturday with a trace to a couple of inches of snow. Right now it's 25 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Is it too hard to run for political office? I could not wait to talk about this morning with Jay Evenson, opinion editor of the Deseret News, Dave, because when he read his opinion piece, I'm like, I didn't realize that, you got to go around and in some cases gather thousands of signatures if you want to be on the ballot. Now, I knew that was the case for Utah because we have this path to gather signatures to the ballot outside of the traditional party caucus convention system. But in other states like Florida, it's like 5 times what we need here in the state of Utah to get on the ballot. Florida, it's like 144,000 signatures if you don't want to pay the $10,000 filing fee.
Holy smokes. Okay, so here in Utah, if you do want to gather signatures, if it's a big position like governor or senator, you have to gather 28,000. If it's the House, then it's 7,000. But what's happened, because these are such high signature counts, this isn't just me and my family and a few of my friends that are going out there knocking on doors and trying to get people to gather signatures. They are hiring professional firms to go door to door, knock on the doors, and then collect these signatures. Jay, joining us right now, Jay Evenson from the Deseret News, the opinion editor there. I didn't realize that this is not a standard number. Like every state that has these has a different number, and ours is quite high.
You're right. In Hawaii, it's 25 signatures, and I think $175 fee, something like that, $75 fee.
So Hawaii is 25 signatures?
You can walk around the block and take care of that in an afternoon.
Yeah.
And the other thing, so we require 28,000 signatures for U.S. Senate or for governor. This is, of course, if you don't want to go through the convention process. There are two ways to get on the ballot. You can go through the convention process and get a majority of 60% of the delegates to support you and get on the ballot, or you can collect these signatures. But it's not just 28,000 signatures. No single person can sign for more than one candidate. So you have to make sure the person who's signing it hasn't already signed for another candidate, and make sure they're a registered voter. And this becomes really difficult to find 28,000. If you're not first in line out of the gate to collect signatures, you're third or fourth, it really gets hard to find those signatures.
Jay, I ran into this very problem because when you're gathering these signatures, it's before the campaign has really even begun. And I remember I had a signature gatherer knock on my door, and he was offering 6 or 7 petitions, and one that stood out to me was the U.S. Senate race. And at the time, he was holding 3 different candidates that I could have signed for. It was Trent Staggs, it was Brad Wilson, and then it was John Curtis. And again, this was before we'd even talked or learned anything, and I had to choose at that moment which person I was going to sign for. And I thought that's kind of ridiculous before I've even talked. Now, I fortunately had talked to all these people, but the average person doesn't know these people. They don't know what they stand for, and you're having to choose right away.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, but you have to realize where we came from. This goes back to 2014. There was an initiative in the works called Count My Vote, which would have essentially done away with the caucus convention system and given us direct primaries. And polls show that people wanted this. And so a compromise was worked out, preserving the caucus convention system and setting this signature gathering.
It's like an alternate path to the ballot.
Alternate path.
Yeah.
And the parties really want to maintain a great deal of control. And right now, there are some in the legislature who want to do away with that compromise and just go back to the parties choosing everything. I focused in on another effort. This is by Representative Ray Ward of Bountiful, who would greatly reduce the number of signatures that you would need to get on the ballot. So in his bill, it goes from 28,000 for governor to 1,000. I mean, it's drastically reduced.
Yeah, it's huge.
And for 500 to run for the U.S. House, 200 for the state Senate, and only 100 for the state House. His statement to me was it should be difficult to win a campaign, but it should not be difficult to try.
So this is a new proposal on Capitol Hill sponsored by Representative Ray Ward, who also, Jay, by the way, Jay Evenson, opinion editor of the Deseret News, in the House with us today talking about the bar to get on the ballot. Thousands of signatures. And Representative Ray Ward also spoke to KSL News Radio about lowering that threshold and the number of signatures.
I think it would encourage more candidates to run who really are good matches for the voters in their district. And to me, an electoral system is a good system if people who represent the average voter in their community are able to run and able to compete. I think we'd have office holders who matched our communities better. Our signature thresholds here are much, much, much higher. They are 10 times higher than the signature thresholds in other states to run for office on average.
And that would that might make it so people would want to run for office if they didn't have to clear that bar to get 28,000 signatures.
We have sort of inadvertently made it so you have to be wealthy or well organized in order to get on the ballot. Like you said, Dave, you have to hire professional signature gatherers who get paid for every valid signature that they come up with. And so, yes, he's right. For an average person who says, I got some great ideas, my neighbors think I ought to run, I want to run, it's very difficult.
And you run right into a brick wall trying to get on the ballot. We're going to take live calls, Jay, while you're in studio with us. If it was easier to run for political office, maybe you need a few hundred, maybe 1,000 signatures, would you? 801-575-TALK. 801-575-TALK. We're going to take live calls in the next few minutes.
So there's a couple things that just stand out to me. Number one, if you're running for governor, if you're running for senator, and you need 28,000 signatures, okay, those were high-profile positions. Maybe you could round up that kind of money. But they're also requiring the attorney general and the state auditor to gather 28,000. Well, those aren't super high-profile positions where you could get big donors to help fund your signature-gathering campaign. So to your very point, that almost requires you to be independently wealthy to be able to fund this, because each one of these signatures, I've seen estimates where it costs anywhere from $6 to $10 per signature. So if it is $10, you need almost $300,000 just to fund the signature gathering campaign.
And I talked to Representative Ward and said, well, what about this thing where you can only sign one petition? He said, well, one thing at a time. He didn't want to complicate his bill. But he said he would be in favor of allowing people to sign multiple petitions. You're not committing yourself to vote for a candidate by signing the petition. You're saying, I think this candidate ought to have the right to get on the ballot and be considered.
That is one of the most important changes I would like to see, because to your very point, all you're saying is, I would like this person to have a shot. I would like to hear from them. And that seems like I should be able to vote for 100 people. If I want to see 100 people on the ballot, whoever I want to hear from, I should be able to sign that petition and have it counted.
Right, as long as you're a registered voter. I think that's an important distinction. But
I think there's a lot of other reasons, though, why people don't want to run for political office. We're talking right now about this, we'll call it a hurdle that needs to be crossed before you're able to get on the ballot if you don't win at party convention. Like if you're not the party's selection to be on the ballot, you can go out and collect 28,000 signatures in Utah, and you can get on the ballot that way. But as we wait for, we're getting live calls right now, 801-575-TALK, and I asked the question, if it was easier to run for a political office, would you? Would you be enticed to do it if you knew you didn't have to spend money to gather signatures or go around the block and gather signatures? Would you? I think there's something more at work here. I think people look at the political landscape, the 24/7, 365 demand of the job, where, emails and phone calls are constantly coming in. You're never going to make everybody happy.
You're under constant scrutiny. You have to answer questions from people like me.
I think that, reporters. I think that could be also affecting people's decisions, like not to get into politics at all.
Our political leaders in this country have not made the job very attractive. Let's put it that way. So there are.
And I don't know that it's their fault, though. Yeah. I mean, I think we're very demanding. And I'm not saying we shouldn't be. It's just we're very demanding, and if a piece of legislation is going through we don't agree with, we're demanding. And if we disagree with it, we're demanding. I don't, it's just one of those jobs where, it's like a customer service job and nobody's ever happy,
Yeah, it takes a certain type of person to want to do it. There's one other issue I want to bring up, and that is if we get a lot of candidates suddenly running for office, how do we deal with, several people running in a primary and someone wins with 15-20% of the vote? Do we need, if we were going to do this, do we need some kind of a runoff election? There's ranked choice voting, but I don't think the voters want. I know the legislature doesn't want that, and voters probably don't either. Other states, some of them have runoffs, some of them don't. But are we comfortable with saying somebody won an election with 20% of the vote?
No, it's a very fair question. We have made it, I think, too hard to run for office. I don't think that you can deny that, especially when you look at what some of the other requirements are around the country. We've made it very hard and we've made it very expensive to run for office, even to get on the ballot. Now, true, you can look at the caucus convention system and say, okay, I may not have to gather one single signature. and maybe I can make it through the caucus convention system. That's exactly what Representative Celeste Malloy did when she won the special election, so it worked out very well that way. But it will be interesting to see how people feel right now. David, in Springfield, what do you think? You're a professional political consultant, so you've probably had some experience in trying to gather signatures.
I do, and I want to make a real quick correction that you do not have to get 60% in convention to get through to a primary. It's only 40%, and I see a lot of up-and-coming new candidates, that want to throw their hat in the ring. They go through that process, and they have a great experience. And, there's a lot that goes into running for office, and a lot of it is not just getting your name on the ballot, but making sure you're properly prepared for the position that you're seeking, making sure that you have an organization, all those things. It's not for the faint of heart.
Well, David, I was going to ask you about that because I was just talking, I think there's other things that are standing in people's way besides signature gathering. If we lower the threshold in the state, we don't. Who knows what Utah lawmakers are going to do. But I'm looking at this purely from, my 18-year-old self going to Arizona State University, getting a minor in political science, thinking, one day I'm going to run for political office. And now my 57-year-old self is saying, no, thank you, because of all of the demands of the job. Have you seen that as a political consultant with people? Or oh, no way, absolutely. No, not for me.
Well, the thing is you not only, it's really a volunteer opportunity. It's not something you're going to get paid a lot of money to do, so you've got to have a job as well. And so on top of a church calling a lot of times. So there's a lot to consider when you decide you're going to run. And usually a lot of the people that I see run are either semi-retired or they're so mad they don't care. They're just going to run. They're going to make the time, so.
Well, David, thank you for your perspective. It's a great conversation. It's a great question. Have we made it too hard to run for office? And I think we absolutely have. We've made it far too expensive. What it takes to win, it's turned nasty. Now, whether it turns nasty and whether you can debate properly, that concerns me way less than the actual signing up and being able to gather signatures or to win a convention. It can't be such an impossible thing that just regular Utahns don't ever have a chance to do that.
Jay Evenson with the opinion editor with the Deseret News. Do you have any sort of idea of if this does have any legs at all on Capitol Hill to get through?
Probably not. He doesn't have a Senate co-sponsor yet, and the last I looked, it had been sent to the Rules Committee in the House.
So soon.
Right. And so... the prospects are probably not very good for this.
But I think it brings up, as Dave said, a great conversation to talk about, have we made it just too complicated on top of all the money you need to run for office and obviously the hours of commitment, the signature gathering, going door to door, or hiring a firm to go door to door and collect signatures.
And nor do I want to see a ballot that has 25 candidates, right? Because it's going to be difficult. It's difficult enough right now, even with all the restrictions, to educate yourself on all the candidates right now. And to your point, Jay, is there some sort of percentage threshold you need to meet before you win? Is there going to be multiple runoffs? Who knows? Because if you do have 5 or 6 candidates on the ballot and they're winning by 12 or 15%, that's going to feel weird too.
Yeah. And he does make a good, your caller does make a good point about the convention caucus system. There are a lot of people who are critical of that, though, and say that the delegates there are not really representative of the party members at large, and a lot of candidates who go through that process lose to the candidates who gathered signatures. Not all, but a good share.
I want to read this text. 57500. One of our listeners says, get the signature threshold down to about 11 signatures. Maybe that's the size of their immediate family. I don't know. 11 signatures, and I'll run for the Salt Lake City mayor. I'm bored. I need an excuse to leave home. Maybe you want to move to Kentucky, because what Jay found in his opinion piece is that in Kentucky, for major party candidates, you need 2 signatures. 2 signatures. Oh, but if you're an unaffiliated candidate, how many do you need? 5,000.
Yes.
You need 5,000 signatures in Kentucky if you're an unaffiliated candidate.
Sounds like that could be challenged.
I was like, who came up with that? So if you're a Republican or a Democrat, you need 2. But if you're unaffiliated, you need 5,000 in Kentucky. Yeah. Which brings up this point. Every state sets their, like we do with, how we handle voting. Every state sets up their own standards.
There's some beauty to that. And I've talked about this before. It's really hard to rig an election because you have all these different standards in each state, and every county counts their own ballots and does it a different way. I think that's good. I think we need to keep that in this country.
Is it too hard to run for office? Yeah, I think it is too hard to run for office. But I think for me, it's a lot like jury selection. We move mountains to try to get out of jury duty. But when you try to get out of jury duty, you can't complain about the OJ verdict. It's the same thing. We can't complain about everybody that is running for office if we ourselves are not willing to put ourselves out there. We are qualified, even though you're not a lawyer in the military, right? That's what it seems to be, is you have to be in the military, you have to be a lawyer to run for political office. But I think we should make it easier to run for office. It shouldn't be as easy as chewing gum, but it should be easier. And I appreciate you bringing up that conversation, Jay. Jay Evenson with the Deseret News, the opinion editor. Thanks, Jay. You can read his stuff there at Deseret.com.
Yeah. Should running for office be easier? Great job, Jay. Thanks so much. Straight ahead, I caught this story in the Wall Street Journal. Walmart managers are getting a raise. Okay, you got to stick around because I just could not believe how much their maximum pay is going to be. It is incredible. That's next.
The newest part of your morning, and still so familiar.
When you wake up and listen to a radio show, it's like you're a part of a family. You're listening in on people you know, and it's magnificent that Andy Farnsworth is sitting in the chair because he's someone we know.
Utah's Morning News. Andy Farnsworth joins Amanda Dixon to bring you important news in the car. 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
One of the things I love about Salt Lake City Fat Loss is they simplified it for me. Losing weight is daunting. You can feel overwhelmed. You can be a little bit nervous like I was. I thought this is going to be Starfest 2024 for Dave Noriega. But with Salt Lake City Fat Loss, I was surprised how full I felt on the diet. And I did it without injections. I did it without surgery. And although it wasn't easy per se, it was easier than I thought it would be. And then I saw some incredible results. And that's really what I wanted. I was looking for big results by joining the Salt Lake City Fat Loss program, and I lost 57 pounds in just 60 days. I couldn't believe it. Every time I got onto that scale, I was so excited. I was so motivated, and then that helped me stay on the program. So if you're interested and you join right now, new year, new you, $200 off the program if you join right now. Go ahead and reach out to Salt Lake City Fat Loss by going to their website, slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com.
Attention home buyers. Want to save hundreds on your mortgage payment or buy a bigger, nicer home? Visit SaveRight.com. This is Rod with the SaveRight team at Realty Path. SaveRight, our name says it all. SaveRight real estate clients often save $300 to $600 a month on their mortgage. Life of loan savings can be over $300,000. SaveRight clients qualify for and buy bigger, nicer homes. Interest rates are around 7%. SaveRight clients can get fixed rates in the 5s. Our affiliate lender makes it all possible. You can even start with a rate in the 2s. If you're buying or selling a home in Utah, save a ton of money. Hire the SaveRight team of realtors. Visit SaveRight.com for more information.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Do you have any idea how hard your heating system has to work when your old windows let the cold air seep in? Your energy bill is going through the roof. But there's an answer, and it comes from Advanced Window Products. For 38 years, they've been building state-of-the-art insulated windows and frames, and every one of them is built right here in Utah. So let me explain why it's cost-effective to call them for new windows right now. First, you'll see a significant drop in your energy bills, winter and summer, and right now, call Advanced Windows and you'll get $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Triple-coated, argon-filled and sealed double-pane insulated glass that'll keep out the cold, and custom frames in any style, any color. Advanced Windows offers a 60-month, 0% interest payment plan, and they even offer a plan with no payment, no interest for 24 months. Plus, that $2,500 off right now. Call for a no-pressure consultation, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
An airliner heads for Alaska with 101 passengers and crew. Then, somewhere over the Gulf of Alaska, Flight 293 slams into the icy water below.
Even if all 4 engines quit, it just doesn't fall out of the sky.
No bodies were recovered. Loved ones had no closure and were left to wonder.
What happened to Flight 293?
Unsolved Histories, What Happened to Flight 293 is available now. Follow us at unsolvedhistoriespod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Verl Johansson. KSL's top local story this hour. You thought your rent was high? Well, Salt Lake City is actually ranked as one of the most affordable metros for renters. KSL News Radio's Alessandra Gurr reports.
You need less income to afford rent nationally than you have in 3 years, according to data from Redfin. The study considers apartments affordable if a renter spends no more than 30% of their income on rent. That being said, Salt Lake City is ranked the 4th most affordable metro for renters, with a median asking rent of just under $1,500 a month and a required yearly income of $59,000, which is $4,000 less than the national required income.
Austin, Houston, and Dallas, Texas were the only metros more affordable than Salt Lake. We have a silver alert active this morning where the Salt Lake City Police Department is trying to locate 60-year-old Teresa Ann Weiss. She was last seen yesterday morning near 620 East Warnock Avenue after leaving her home. Police say she has a history of getting lost, and anyone with information should give them a call. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Pentagon says it has started deploying 1,500 active duty troops to help secure the southern border. ABC's defense analyst Mick Mulroy has more on the troops' role.
They can support law enforcement, so they can do things like intelligence and surveillance when it comes to border crossing locations and where populations are trying to enter.
Mulroy says troops headed to the border right now are intelligence specialists, crafting a plan to deploy much larger forces at the border. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 269 points. Coming up, will we get a storm or not? KSL Weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Who do we have in the traffic center today?
It's Jason Jones. We're looking good along the Wasatch Front, north and southbound I-15, all the way from Payson up to the point of the mountain. And in fact, up through the Salt Lake Valley and all the way up to Ogden, you're going to be running at good speeds. No problems on the major feeders over to I-15 either, and the major other highways. No accidents, no delays. Everything's just looking pretty fantastic at this point. Valley West Cinderella live with the Valley West Orchestra. Buy tickets today at valleywest.org. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Haze today and a high of 36 degrees. We get a little above normal tomorrow at 41, and then on Saturday, the KSL Weather Center says we could get a trace or 2 inches of snow, a trace to 2 inches of snow on the valley floor. Right now it's partly cloudy and 27 degrees. I'm Verl Johansson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Y'all, I think we got into the wrong line of work. Wall Street Journal had this article this morning about Walmart's regional managers, and as Dave would say, my eyeballs popped out of my head. Listen to their max pay. They are raising the max pay for regional managers at Walmart. And Dave, I think, frankly, you are going to be jealous. I was. The new compensation range is going to go from $420,000 a year to up to $620,000 a year.
And here's my 2-week notice. I'm out. Off to Walmart.
Walmart regional managers are going to be earning or can earn over $600,000 a year.
How many of us, when we're talking to our kids about their careers, say, you know what you need to look into? Moving up the corporate ladder at Walmart, right? Mm-hmm. Now, you think about the Walmart executives, that's not surprising, but look at it as a general manager over a Walmart store, or as you said, a regional manager. Did you expect to be making $500,000? Like, did you realize that is the top end? That's more than many doctors are making.
Yeah. Just looking there also, I think they have like stock options, and that might be included in it, and bonuses. The potential annual bonus increased to 100% of base pay, up from 90% of base pay. So you can get 100% of base pay, and the base pay range is a minimum of $160K a year, up to a maximum of $260K. Oh, those are some real numbers. Does that surprise you with Walmart, though? Is it if I said to you,
right.
let me just think of something. If I said, oh, it's at Nordstrom, you'd probably be like, yeah, this is just
makes sense.
We're not gonna Nordstrom. I mean, I would expect that. For me, honestly, I looked at that and I was like, Walmart, wow. I wouldn't have expected that from Walmart. But I'm happy also for those people who have likely, I don't know for sure. I don't know what the ladder looks like at Walmart, but I'm going to suspect that many of them started, kindly cashiering for me many, many, many years ago. And I want to just say this as we're talking about this. I've been to Walmart quite a few times lately, and I made a commitment this year not to use self-checkout. And by golly, you guys, I'm sticking to it. I'm doing a good job sticking to it. A couple of times I've ended up in self-checkout line. You know how that goes. But mainly going through to the cashiers. Walmart cashiers, everyone I've spoken to is happy with their job. They're happy. They like it there. I'm not saying there's some that are disgruntled. They're happy. And I'm thinking, the managers are doing a good job keeping morale high, at least when I'm on the checkout line.
I'm a little bit surprised that companies haven't done a better job of marketing this. Where it really caught me, I was out eating some fast food Chinese at Panda Express, right? And they actually had the breakdown of all the jobs that were available at Panda Express.
Really?
So it had, hey, if you're going to be a cashier, if you're going to be a server, if you're going to be an inline cook or a second line cook, whatever it might be. And they broke it down. This is what your hourly wage was. This is what you can make in a year. But what stood out to me more than anything is what a general manager at Panda Express could make.
Oh, what did you find?
And this is, Walmart is enormous, right? It's this company that is all across the country, and these are huge stores. So a general manager of a huge store with millions of dollars of product, that makes sense. What surprised me is my orange chicken guy, whoever the general manager is, could make $78,000 to $103,000 a year. And that right there, that's a small little, this isn't a ginormous restaurant that has hundreds of people coming through, every 2 minutes, but you could make $103,000 per year. So what it did is it shifted the way I was thinking and realized working at Panda, running it as a general manager or at Walmart, these are valuable. These are coveted. They're going to become increasingly competitive.
I want to go back to your point you made earlier. I think it's a valid one. How many of us have told our kids, hey, this might be a good career course for you? Walmart, get started there, get started young, and move yourself up the corporate ladder. And the regional manager oversees about 12 stores. So you're earning your money, right? I mean, it's not just one store. I think of the store I was at the other day in Riverton. It's huge. It's a big store. And then I go to the one in South Jordan. That's a pretty big store, too. And so if you're overseeing 12 of those big stores, that's a lot of employees, a lot of merchandise they're moving, a lot of customers that could be unhappy at any moment. So I'd imagine it's got its stresses. But I don't look at this and say, I don't remember a time I sat down with my kids and said, Walmart, go take a job there. And then work your way up.
I was just looking at salary.com, and I was curious, okay, what does a doctor, a general practitioner make? What's the average salary? $183,000. Then we would sing it from the rooftops. Kids, go be a doctor. 183. That has a stigma, a very positive stigma. You're a doctor, you're going to make great money. Well, what if you could double that salary working as a regional manager at Walmart? Do we give that exact same message to kids when they're in high school? Hey, kids, let me tell you, one of these career paths, look at what you could do if you join a large company like Walmart. And Walmart has development programs. Once you get hired on, you could be hired on as a cashier. But they have development programs. They have tuition reimbursement. They have on-the-job, in-service training where they want you to stay with the company for 30 years.
How about Costco? I'm looking at this Forbes article now. Wall Street Journal reporting on Walmart. It's what did I say? Up to $620,000 a year at Walmart for regional manager. Costco. How about Costco? I had a friend who went to work for Costco right out of high school. I haven't talked to her in years, but I think she did
still there.
I think she did pretty well. I don't know, but I remember she was moving her way up. General managers at Costco earning about $106,000 a year as an average base pay. And that is as of 2019. So how about McDonald's? Nobody talks about, go work at McDonald's and work your way up there. Regional restaurant managers make an average base salary of $111,000 a year at McDonald's. And I just love their French fries, so they could pay me in French fries.
Just pay me in
How about Home Depot? Home Depot, up to $206,000 a year for store managers. $134K to $206,000 a year. Like I said, these are good paying jobs.
Incredible
yeah,
jobs.
They're careers, right?
They're amazing jobs, and I don't think we're doing a good enough job. I say we're not doing a good enough job in our homes, giving our kids options. They also don't know how much jobs pay. Do you know what the average school teacher makes, or the school counselor, or the police officer, or because I don't think they know what good salaries are. And this is a great way to educate our kids. I think we could do a better job in schools as well, opening up doors for kids and realize there are a lot of jobs out there, a lot of big companies that are multi-billion-dollar companies that pay a premium if you can become some sort of a manager.
Next, let's talk about your New Year goals that you've already ditched. Yeah, did you make it past Quitter's Day? Your No Spend 2025, we're going to do a check-in straight ahead.
If you've ever experienced running out of hot water before your shower was done, or hard water spots on dishes and fixtures, I've got a deal you might be interested in. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and you probably already know that a tankless water heater and a water softener solve both issues. If you've ever thought about looking into getting a tankless water heater, here's the deal I was talking about. Through the end of February, we're including a free water softener with every new tankless water heater we install. The best part of this deal might be that you never have to worry about being the last one to the shower again, or that you don't have to waste the money keeping 40 to 50 gallons of water hot 24/7. To take advantage of this deal, call Any Hour Services before the end of February. The visit's free and there's no obligation to buy. If you decide to have us install a new tankless water heater, we'll throw in the water softener for free. That's right, a free water softener when you purchase a tankless water heater. Pick up the phone and call Any Hour Services right now for all the details. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
On the surface, it seemed like just another Cinderella story.
The team that was predicted to finish dead last is now waiting to play the first round of the playoffs.
But Real Salt Lake's 2021 playoff run was so much more than what happened on the pitch.
Our club is burning to the ground.
This is the tip of the iceberg. Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Dave, and Dujanovic.
Have you quit? Have you observed Quitter's Day? Quitter's Day is January 10th, so we're about, 13 days or so past Quitter's Day, and that is the day that most people fall off of their New Year's resolution wagon. It's not even a month in, and you already given up. But Dave and I love talking about, saving money and being wise with our money, and we've done that for years. We started this with the $1,000 challenge years ago. A lot of our longtime listeners remember we challenged everybody to give away or to get up to $1,000 in an emergency fund. That we want to bring you back onto the wagon with us. So we're going to do a check-in here with your financial goals for 2025 if you have pledged to do a low buy or no buy 2025.
We ought to call it Shaming Day. Because that's what Quitter's Day is. Like, you couldn't make it 10 days into your New Year's resolution. You're a loser. One of the things that stood out to me, I have a friend that was an Olympian, and he said your goals should make you excited to wake up in the morning. And I think oftentimes we have a goal problem. We just set goals that are so difficult that we don't wake up excited for these goals. We usually end up dreading them. So it doesn't surprise me that after 10 days of waking up every morning with dread because you've cut out all carbs and all soda and all you're eating is chicken and rice, like, it doesn't surprise me that we go 10 days in and we're like, I'm out, quitter's day, I will proudly quit.
Heading into the new year, really popular New Year's goal this year was no spend 2025. Like, stop with the consumerism, just slow down your spending and save more. And I'd say it's a little bit like, it would be like giving up sugar. You know, anytime I've given up sugar, it's hard, right? It's hard the first week. It's hard the second week. But by about the third week, I'm no longer eating candy bars, and instead I'm grabbing an apple. Mm-hmm. You know, it's about just training your mind and just training yourself not to stop in at the store on your way home. And there's a couple of ways that we can get back on track if you've already, if you've already given up and you're like, yeah, I'm a quitter. I've observed Quitter's Day, which I was shocked to hear was January 10th. I was so hopeful that maybe it would be March. Nope, most of us quit our New Year resolutions by January 10th. So a couple of things I'm going to check in with Forbes. They give a list, like a hot sheet of what to do to get back on track. And one of the things they talk about is really thinking about what obstacles are getting in the way. And sometimes I think those obstacles can be a last-minute phone call from a friend, a family member. It says, let's go to dinner. Let's go out, let's go get some lunch. But we've already overspent our dining out budget, on day one. But we give into that. And it's not that, they're not an obstacle in our life. It's just that we're giving into this. And so what I've tried to do is with my good friends that I go meet for lunch or for breakfast or for whatever, for dinner, is time those dates, if you will, those lunch dates with my budget and not over budget, like where we're going. Also, like, pick a place that's more affordable. So I've been more deliberate in spreading out those get-togethers based on how I'm budgeting for my paycheck.
Okay, give me an example of how you would manipulate that.
So if three people wanted to go out with me for lunch in the first week of February, I would say something like, I would not normally in the years past, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'll schedule 3 lunch meetings all in 1 week or 3 lunch dates, whatever. And now this year, what I'm doing is I'm spreading those out based on what I'm budgeting for dining out for that particular pay period. So it might mean that I can't do 3 lunch dates all in 1 week, even though I want to get together with my friends. Another idea is having friends over instead of going and meeting people out, in the wild to go out to dinner. So having friends over to the house, which is a lot more cost effective.
Well, it's funny because oftentimes, hey, let's grab a soda, let's grab a coffee or something, but we never think about sitting down into your living room and, brewing up your own coffee or popping a can of soda. We just don't think of that.
The other thing to stay on your no spend budget is actually budget. Actually budget. So in December, what I did is I downloaded an app. There's a lot of different apps. I'm using the free version of, I think it's $every$, but there's a lot of different apps. You could even do it on, old-fashioned way with paper. I've done that in the past. I've just found that carrying the app with me, and I've just kind of restarted it. I was using it for years, and then I kind of fell away from it. It means that right when I get to my car, I can log what I've spent, and then it keeps track of where I'm at. And there's a rush involved with spending below what you've allocated, whether that's for groceries. I mean, even like my power bill came in $3 less cheaper than what I had allocated. I think I allocated $75 for the month, and it came in at like $72. That was a win for me. I have $3 extra, right? And also it's great because you have to, when you're budgeting for savings too in that app. So you know immediately when you get your paycheck. I get it. Our paychecks might be different depending on, how much extra we've worked or whatever. But in general, it's like you immediately budget that. And I push that right over to savings first and foremost. So that makes me feel invigorated. That like, oh, look at my savings grow.
One of the things I realized, and I've talked about this often, where I joined a program to lose weight, and what helped me keep motivated was seeing results. And as you were describing that, I couldn't help but think, when you have these little wins and you hold yourself accountable. I was getting on the scale every single day because I held myself accountable every single day. How many of us do that with our spending, that we log it and we track it and we make sure that every single day we are saving or making, and we're not spending more than we bring in. And then you can build these little victories, and they start empowering you, and you start realizing, oh wow, this actually can be fun.
Yeah, if I've learned anything, you can't control your budget when you're not in control of your budget. I think one of the best tips that we got from Chip Lupo at Wallet Hub, he's an analyst. He called in and he said, here's the deal. After you set your budget, don't impulse buy if you are.
The same rule that you would apply to social media, apply to buying. You want to implement a 24-hour rule and follow this acronym, okay? HALT. Do not make purchases if you are hungry, angry, lonely, tired.
Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Ask yourself every day, am I any of these things? And if it is, don't be lonely. Go hang out with somebody. Eat a burger.
Well, just don't go shopping if you are lonely.
Yeah.
That's been great. That's been a good. I don't go grocery shopping when I'm hungry, and that just prevents you from buying more and more stuff. I stay off Amazon when I'm tired. So get back on your goals. Don't be a quitter. We've passed Quitter's Day. Get back on your goals. You can do this. Save that money. Watch your budget. I think there's lots of great advice out there, and I'm planning on sticking with this no spend, low spend year that I've been in so far, and I'm doing pretty good. Straight ahead, Utah lawmakers are seeking to crack down on Utah residents who are illegally registering their cars or their boats out of state. We're going to go in depth on that proposal straight ahead.
The newest part of your morning, and still so familiar.
When you wake up and listen to a radio show, it's like you're a part of a family. You're listening in on people you know, and it's magnificent that Andy Farnsworth is sitting in the chair because he's someone we know.
Utah's Morning News. Andy Farnsworth joins Amanda Dixon to bring you important news in the car. 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
One of the things that's amazing about the company of Kinetico is the way they've designed their water softeners. One of the things is they came out to my house, they said, we have given such great attention to detail. One of the biggest things that we learn is people that want soft water, they never want it to run out. And you may not realize this, but if you have a busy morning of showers and laundry and dishes, that you may run out of soft water and your water softener has to recharge. Well, that's not the case with the Kinetico water softener system. The way it's designed, you get 24/7 soft water. It doesn't run out. It just keeps feeding into your water heater, that soft water, and you enjoy all of those benefits because that's the way it's designed. And then because of the way it's designed to work so efficiently, it uses 2/3 less salt than everybody else. So not only does it give you endless soft water, it does so efficiently. So you're not breaking your back carrying those 40 pounds of salt pellets and loading them every couple of weeks. In fact, I only have to fill it up every couple of months with the Kinetico soft water system. So give them a call, 801-576-8600, 801-576-8600. They're an authorized Kinetico dealer. Or check them out online, softwaterutah.com.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Boy, right after the holidays, everyone needs a little cash, right?
Oh, yes.
We have great news for you. Right now, UCCU, Utah Community Credit Union, will pay you for your auto loan and credit balances. So all you have to do is just transfer your auto loan or your credit card balance to UCCU. And on top of giving you a low interest rate, which will save you money, UCCU will give you 1% cash back up to $250 on every loan you transfer.
Amanda, as soon as I heard about this, I said, I'm in this exact situation. I transferred. I actually had to have 2 loans to get my car a year ago.
Yeah.
Long story. Got it consolidated into one, and they paid me 1% back for each thing. I've got 1 payment now instead of 2. It's so much easier, and it took me maybe basically an hour. I just went straight to the website. I applied. They said, you got to send me these documents. I did, and all of a sudden, within a couple of days, I had it all set.
This is how easy they are to work with, always looking for ways to help you and your family. You can find out more on the UCCU mobile banking app or just go to uccu.com/transfer. Utah Community Credit Union. You're going to love where you bank.
Have you been wondering what happened to Master Electrical Services? Where did they go?
You mean the Master Electrical Services that's been serving Utah since 1954?
Yep, them.
The Master Electrical Services that was the first to offer upfront pricing guarantee with no hidden fees?
That's who I'm talking about.
And 100% satisfaction guarantee?
That's right, Debbie. Master Electrical Service has joined Mountain Air, and together they've become Mountain Home Services.
This is great news because they can offer whole home protection, electrical, EV chargers, HVAC, generators, plumbing, and fireplaces.
Yeah, I love that new one, the fireplaces. You can find them online at mountainhomeservices.com. That's mountainhomeservices.com.
Or at that same easy-to-remember phone number, 801-543-2222. Again, 801-543-2222.
Mountain Home Services is the company that we trust, and so can you. Remember, just check them out online at mountainhomeservices.com.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jessica Lowell. KSL's top story this hour. A woman accused of killing her husband and writing a children's book about grief is back in court today. Corey Richens is facing multiple charges, including attempted murder, mortgage and insurance fraud, and multiple counts of forgery. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The House has passed a bill to require the detainment of unauthorized migrants accused of theft and violent crimes. It marks the first legislation that President Donald Trump can sign as Congress, with some bipartisan support, swiftly moved in line with his plans to crack down on illegal immigration. More than 800 trucks of aid is rolling into Gaza on average each day since the ceasefire began on Sunday. There have been a few incidents of gunfire since that started.
The IDF reporting its troops in southern Gaza killed a militant from Palestinian Islamic Jihad, but there are no signs the deadly clash will jeopardize the 5-day-old ceasefire, which is holding. Israel and Hamas preparing for the second hostage release coming up on Saturday. Hamas set to release 4 more Israeli female hostages, including IDF soldiers. In exchange, Israel will release nearly 200 jailed Palestinians, some convicted of murder. Jordana Miller, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Your money at this moment, the Dow up 348 points, S&P has gained 12, NASDAQ down 53. Coming up, storms in the forecast. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Do you have any idea how hard your heating system has to work when your old windows let the cold air seep in? Your energy bill is going through the roof. But there's an answer, and it comes from Advanced Window Products. For 38 years, they've been building state-of-the-art insulated windows and frames, and every one of them is built right here in Utah. So let me explain why it's cost-effective to call them for new windows right now. First, you'll see a significant drop in your energy bills, winter and summer, and right now, call Advanced Windows and you'll get $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Triple-coated, argon-filled and sealed double-pane insulated glass that'll keep out the cold, and custom frames in any style, any color. Advanced Windows offers a 60-month, 0% interest payment plan, and they even offer a plan with no payment, no interest for 24 months. Plus, that $2,500 off right now. Call for a no-pressure consultation, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Febreze. So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day. Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Things are just better with a partner or a friend. And when it comes to losing weight, Soda Weight Loss makes it easier than ever to let go of the weight for good.
I'd been wanting to lose weight, and I tried on my own. I'd been seeing things for soda, and so we talked to the nutritionist and loved every bit of it. You know, I couldn't be happier, honestly, with the result.
Join with a partner and only pay for one. Imagine achieving all your weight loss goals together with your partner, and you only pay for one.
I've let go 50 pounds, and I don't have the cravings that I used to have.
I would definitely recommend soda. It's because it works. I even recommended it to my daughter, and she's on her journey now.
Just go and look at the almost 9,000 Google reviews about soda weight loss. Lose the weight without injections, without medications, without hunger. Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. How are the roads looking, Jason Jones?
Well, we've got a car that's in the Gore area, northbound I-15 at the I-80 interchange. But other than that, everything else is looking pretty decent. And because that's in the Gore area, it's not blocking any lanes of traffic. And it's not causing really any delays at all either. I-15 is just looking pretty much fantastic in Utah County, up in Weber and Davis counties. 215, no trouble in the Salt Lake Valley. And if you're headed up into the canyons, should be a kind of a glorious drive for you at this point. Murdoch Auto Team is celebrating 100 years of winter journeys at Murdoch Hyundai. Right now, receive 1.99% for 4 years or 2.49% for 5 years on the 2025 Santa Fe or Tucson. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Clear skies today, but by tomorrow we could see more clouds. Saturday, we're expecting some snow accumulation across the Wasatch Front. High of 36 today, 41 tomorrow. Right now it's 28 degrees. I'm Jessica Lowe from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, or Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Our big story today is that lawmakers are looking to crack down on Utah residents who illegally register their cars, their RVs, their trucks, their boats in another state that doesn't charge sales tax. And one of those states is Montana. And there's a proposal on Capitol Hill that seems to be gaining steam.
And it could save people thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of dollars by working this scam. Is scam a good way to describe this?
I think you've described it in the past as shenanigans.
Shenanigans is probably a nicer word. There you go.
In a moment, we're going to get live with Rusty Cannon of Inside Sources. He has been tracking this legislation since it was first introduced or talked about in a committee last year, and he's standing by to give us more details. We also spoke earlier in this show to KSL5 Television's Matt Gephardt, investigative reporter, and his producer, Sloan Schrag. He's done a number of stories on this. And in fact, he talked to the Utah Tax Commission about what this would look like if it's passed. First of all, you'd be getting a letter in the mail.
Vehicle's owner would get a letter informing them that they are breaking the law. They have 60 days to register their vehicle in Utah and pay the sales tax. And if they go past that 60-day deadline, Jason Gardner of the Utah State Tax Commission says it'll be worse.
They would be subject to all the back sales tax and 100% penalty of the sales tax amount that wasn't paid. So basically double sales tax.
And this is something that it can sting, right? Especially if you're looking at a boat. If you're buying a new ski boat, I'm going to say that it costs $100,000. You know, of course, they can go up to $300,000. Well, it's big round numbers, $100,000 new ski boat. You're going to be spending somewhere between $7,000 and $8,000 in sales tax here in Utah, kind of depending on which county you live. There's a little bit of difference, but largely about $7,000 to $8,000 in sales tax. Well, if you can set up an LLC in Montana for a few $100s, well, you've just saved yourself $7,000 or $8,000 on that purchase.
And when Matt was on the show earlier with us, Matt Gephardt, KSL5 Television, he talked about how that Montana loophole works.
Scheme, as it were, where people would essentially set up, you know, the way it would work is it's not like people are going to Montana to buy these vehicles. They're buying them from dealerships here in the state of Utah. And what they're doing is saying, no, instead of registering it to me here in the state of Utah, register it to my LLC, my business in the state of Montana.
So how do you catch these shenanigans? How do you catch these people? Well, what they do is they compare where this is registered, where the boat is registered. We'll just use the boat as an example. Where the boat is registered, but then they can compare where is it insured. So if you have it registered in Montana, but it's insured in Utah, they will see that discrepancy through a software program called Insure Right, and then it will flag and say, "Wait, this isn't right. You shouldn't have it insured in Utah but registered in Montana. You've got to reconcile this."
Yeah, and that's one of the things Matt's producer Sloan talked to us about as well.
Yeah, Insure Right compares the DMV database of registered vehicles and compares that to insurance records from insurance companies around the state, and they're already checking for uninsured motorists. And so this new law that's up on Capitol Hill just allows that company to extend a little bit further and look for, if there's a mismatch between the vehicle being registered in the state of Utah and the insurance, not being registered in the state of Utah, and the insurance says it is insured in Utah, then that's a mismatch. They can send a letter.
Now, this has already been illegal. You already can't do this, but it's the crackdown that has been difficult. And what lawmakers have found is if we use this software, Insure Right, then we can make this easier to identify and then crack down on it.
Well, I know a few people who've done this, Rusty. Rusty Cannon, co-host of Inside Sources, on the line with us right now. And there's a part of me that smiles that they're going to get caught because I, as a former boat owner, as a vehicle owner, currently and formerly, I've always not only registered, paid the sales tax in Utah, insured my car in Utah, and these people have in my view, gotten away with not paying sales tax for a really long time.
Yes, you're exactly right, Debbie. This would seek to square that. Like Dave mentioned, it's already against the law. This bill, Senate Bill 52, is going to allow them to have the tools to enforce it, essentially, by getting access to that insurance database. So it's the right thing to do, and it's pretty hard to make a case as to why this should not pass and this shouldn't be enforced.
Rusty, I look at sales tax in general, and especially with big ticket items that may cost you hundreds or even thousands of dollars in sales tax. But I do see a little bit where the frustration from the owners when it comes to, if I buy a boat for $100,000, I pay sales tax on that. And then if I sell it in a couple of years, the next purchaser has to pay sales tax. And then they sell it, and then they're paying sales tax. So you can pay sales tax multiple times on the exact same vehicle over and over and over again, and it just feels like it's gouging.
You know, that's a fair point, and I'd agree with you there. This is more addressing, as far as I understand it, that first time where you go and buy that expensive boat or a nice car. You maybe save yourself $7,000 or $20,000 in sales tax. You need to pay that. That goes into into the sales tax, into the general fund, which does help pay for roads. The gas tax does not cover all the costs for roads. This does shortchange that, and it's a lot of money. I think the figures were well above $30 million a year. They're estimating that this is missing. So that's what they're doing. A lot of these people that are doing this Montana way, if they do sell it, they'll transfer the LLC to the new owner and have them avoid that sales tax on the second time, like you're talking about.
Wow.
So this needs to be closed
This
down.
is elaborate, Rusty. It's like people are spending a lot of time thinking this through because first of all, I didn't even know about this LLC option that's going on in Montana. But what you're saying is they transfer the they take it one step further and transfer it so if they sell it to the next person that gets in on the shenanigans.
Yeah, that's our understanding of how it's been working. And it's become, I wouldn't say commonplace, but it's getting fairly rampant, and that's why they decided to crack down. So this is a bit of a public service announcement.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody's driving around with these plates, you are going to get this letter. So it's something people need to be aware of, and this is likely going to happen this summer.
Rusty, we had a caller. We were taking calls on this and described this scenario, and maybe you can walk us through it a little bit, but it said the family's company operates out of Montana, but also has satellite businesses in other states. So he said, it's the truck that I drive is registered in Montana because that's where the company is, but I do work as a satellite here in Utah. Would that require I guess a sales tax to be paid, even though the company is in Montana?
Can I, let me play his call. The caller's name was Dan. So Rusty, stand by. Let's listen to Dan's call.
Yeah. Well, so they've already started sending out the letters. Here's the thing, though. So my parents have been manufacturing medical devices in Montana for the last 25 or so years, and so the company actually started in 1999. So I guess we're going on 26 now. But anyway. Both of my vehicles, both my truck and my car, are both registered in Montana because the company is based out of Montana. Even though I live here in Utah, the cars, they belong to the company. But, I drive them here in Utah, which my, insurance says Utah insurance card, but, they're based out of Montana. That's where the company is.
So it sounds like it's not just a shell company, that this is genuinely a company that was started in Montana, runs out of Montana, and then obviously you have sales folks or delivery systems in other parts of the state. But it sounds like that would still require you to register and pay sales tax here in Utah.
Actually, the gentleman there would be just fine. He would not need to do it. He would have a legitimate case, and the tax commission has talked about these situations. There are legitimate businesses that have every right to do this. However, you can bet that that's a very, very small number of the thousands and thousands of vehicles and boats and all if they have a legitimate Montana business, they can establish that in the 60 days, and the tax commission will let them go.
He said at the beginning of that call that the letters had already started to go out. Are you aware of that, Rusty?
I didn't know they were starting to go out.
Well, I
wonder
if, and by the way, Rusty Cannon, Inside Sources, joining us to talk about this proposal on Utah's Capitol Hill that would send out letters to people who've registered their cars or their boats in Montana, didn't pay the sales tax on it because Montana doesn't charge sales tax, but they actually live and insure their vehicles here in the state of Utah. I'm wondering, because I actually have gotten a letter from a car that I traded in quite a while ago, and it came from this InsureRight. I think it came. Well, I looked at it and I Googled it and I made sure it wasn't something weird that I was getting a letter about. And they're like, it appears your car doesn't have insurance on it, and it's like, well, I traded this car into a dealership like 9 months ago, so I just responded to that letter, and then that issue was cleared up. I honestly don't know why the dealership didn't take that off of the. I didn't look into it any further than that. But what I'm wondering is if some people are getting those letters for that reason, and maybe there's some, because this law hasn't passed yet.
Correct. Yeah, they might be getting the InsureRight letters confused. I've also gotten those InsureRight letters several times, right? When you're buying or selling a car and they just need to match it up. Maybe they're getting that confused, or maybe they're already sending the letters out. But this bill will change the way things work, and people will probably need to be on their toes here pretty soon if they do have a vehicle or a boat or something with Montana plates.
So, Rusty, if you have somebody here in Utah that, like this caller, Dan, if someone has a reasonable explanation, are you saying they can reach out to the tax commission, lay out the reason why they feel they should be exempt, and the tax commission will perhaps work with that company?
Yes, absolutely. That's their full intention, is if there's a legitimate reason, they're going to be fine. It's the ones that do not have a legitimate reason to have a Montana plate. You've told your insurance company that it's insured here in Utah. You use it in Utah. Therefore, you should have paid the sales tax and registration fee in Utah.
What really jumped out to me is the amount of the fine if you don't settle it up within the 60-day when you get the notice. The fine, I mean, that could hurt, because if you owe, let's say, I don't know, $10,000 because you buy a boat and you buy a vehicle and you've done the whole thing in Montana, they're going to double that to $20,000, and then what if somebody doesn't pay? Where do they go from there? Do they file it in a lien in court, or I get or wherever? I guess I don't know. How do they lien? Will they lien somebody's home? I mean, where do they go from there if they don't pay up?
I don't have it in front of me, but that is existing statute in Utah law when you haven't paid taxes. And so, I don't know if it's different for sales tax, but in this case, that's what the statute says. So if you had some other weird matter where you owe some sales tax, it's the same penalty. It doubles if you don't comply.
Rusty, thank you so much. That is probably a big sigh of relief to one of our callers, and maybe several of our callers, especially Dan. So thank you so much for giving us that insight. But if you feel like you have a legitimate business in Montana, you can reach out to the state tax commission and discuss it, and they may waive this and say, no, you're in compliance. It's totally fine. You can have your truck or your vehicle, your semi, whatever, registered in Montana, even though you're operating here in Utah.
What do you do? You get that bill. What do you do if you get that bill?
Heart starts racing, doesn't it?
Because that's a chunk of money. And you thought you had it set up and locked in, and then you get a bill for $20,000 or $30,000, depending on how many boats or how many cars you own or how many times it's going to be a chunk of money for a lot of people.
Another struggle you might have run into is, okay, let's say you buy that $100,000 boat 10 years ago, and you did the whole Montana thing, and now you're going to owe $10,000 on a boat that isn't worth $10,000. So what do you do if you'd already taken out a loan with the bank? When you initially make the purchase, the bank will take all of that into consideration. They'll take into account the value of the boat and the taxes, and that's what they will loan out to you. But if you're 10 years out, the bank may not give you that loan, or they may not value that, or that's going to be a big hurdle, I see.
Okay, so to answer my own question, I was just kind of soul searching there while you were chatting. Do I feel sorry? Do I feel bad for people that are this? For some reason, I can't. I don't feel bad. I wish I did. Maybe you can text in at 57500 and tell me why I should be empathetic to this. Maybe I'm not empathetic to it because, I so value our outdoor recreational opportunities in Utah. I mean, we can boat, we can ski, we have roads to get us up canyons that need to be maintained, and to areas and boat docks that need to be maintained. And if you've ever been, boating and you realize that boat dock needs to be repaired and they haven't been able to find the money to repair it, or this place needs more bathrooms, you realize, they're missing out on, what they say, $70 million a year in taxes because of this. You want people to pay their fair share. I guess I'm like, if I'm going to pay, you should have to pay.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you fundamentally. Here's the problem, I think, with sales tax in general, is you have one vehicle, one boat. And every time you sell that vehicle, they are recollecting this sales tax over. So this same item is being taxed over and over and over and over again for the entire life of this boat. So if it goes through multiple hands and being sold multiple times, I don't think it's right that you are collecting tax on that every single time. Sure, I get it. When that's first purchased, you pay a tax on that. And that's a significant tax, $7,000, $8,000. That is a significant tax. To come back and tax that exact same vehicle as it's depreciating and hitting the new owner with sales tax over and over again, I think that is fundamentally a problem with the way we run sales tax law here in Utah.
But to be clear, this legislation doesn't impact what you just said, the reselling of the vehicle over and over and over again, right? This is about people who go out, purchase a boat or a truck in the state of Utah, then go to Montana and set up an LLC, register it there, don't pay the tax there because there's no tax to pay in Montana, but then park it in their driveway here in Utah and use all of the lakes and the roads here in Utah. The vehicle, they have pure intention of just using the car here in the state of Utah or using the boat here in the state of Utah, and they've actually insured both of them here.
Yeah,
Right.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is I get why people are trying to find workarounds to it, because it is a frustrating part of sales tax law that I think is broken. We need to address that, because when something is broken, that encourages people or maybe gives people some justification in their own mind to skirt the system or work their little shenanigans behind the scenes.
Okay. Straight ahead, we're going to get another host of Inside Sources, Adam Gardner, straight on the line. He's one of our political insiders about this proposal on Capitol Hill to require identification when you turn in your ballot. Yeah. This is a new proposal on Capitol Hill that you could no longer mail your ballot in through the U.S. Postal Service. You would have to return it in person with ID to a polling place. Adam's up next with the latest on that.
Join the smartest conversation in Utah, the team of analysts and political advisors that make up Inside Sources. Get unfiltered analysis of the new administration, the president's cabinet, and Utah's upcoming legislative session. Inside Sources, weekdays from 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
One of the things I love about Advanced Garage Doors is they offer a free inspection and a tune-up once a year for any garage door that they install. That includes a mortar that they install. You're still going to get that free inspection and a tune-up, something I've never, ever thought about when it comes to my garage door.
And they've got these certified technicians who are available 24/7 with same-day service, and they've got that lifetime warranty on all residential doors and parts. And you get the peace of mind knowing that your garage door is always protected as long as you follow the recommendations.
They'll give you some free estimates, a zero-cost estimate. They'll give you an itemized list of all the things that would involve an installation to make sure that your garage door is functioning properly as well.
Financing is available, and don't forget, you can design your dream garage door right on their website, and we know how a new garage door could transform the front of your home.
200,000 cycle rollers. That's what Advanced Garage Door deals with. 200,000 cycle rollers. That's a lot of up and down on the garage door. So make sure you reach out to Advanced Garage Doors. Advanced-door.com is the website.
Or give them a call, 801-989-3667, 801-989-DOOR.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and Clear Skin, count me in. With Skyrizi Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Attention home buyers, want to save hundreds on your mortgage payment or buy a bigger, nicer home? Visit SaveRight.com. This is Rod with the SaveRight team at Realty Path. SaveRight, our name says it all. SaveRight real estate clients often save $300 to $600 a month on their mortgage. Life of loan savings can be over $300,000. SaveRight clients qualify for and buy bigger, nicer homes. Interest rates are around 7%. SaveRight clients can get fixed rates in the 5s. Our affiliate lender makes it all possible. You can even start with a rate in the 2s. If you're buying or selling a home in Utah, save a ton of money. Hire the SaveRight team of realtors. Visit SaveRight.com for more information.
This January, Ogden is the epicenter of amazing RV deals during the Northern Utah RV Show, January 23rd to the 25th. Inside the Golden Spike Event Center, you'll find unbeatable pricing on new and used travel trailers starting as low as $129 per month on approved credit, and fifth wheels starting as low as $349 per month OAC. You'll also find every remaining new 2024 on clearance during the show. Plus, you can play now and pay later with no payments until April OAC. We'll also have the entire lineup of Go Play travel trailers ready to tour and take home at the lowest pricing of the year. Start shopping the biggest deals now at NorthUtahRVShow.com. On top of unbeatable pricing, every RV purchase receives a free 1-year RV Fix membership, your fast track to RV service repairs. Get in for free to Ogden's biggest new and used RV sale, the Northern Utah RV Show. 3 days only, January 23rd through the 25th, inside the Golden Spike Event Center. Sponsored by Bish's RV.
Stock numbers 81734-87503. Based on 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 to 240 months. Subject to prior sale. See dealer details.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top local story this hour. Utah voters would no longer be allowed to mail in their ballots if a bill being proposed on Utah's Capitol Hill is signed into law. Representative Jefferson Burton tells Utah's Morning News the ballots would still be mailed out so voters could fill it out at the kitchen table.
Once they make those selections and seal the envelope, this bill would then require that voters would take that envelope to a polling station, and we would begin that process 10 days prior to Election Day.
Burton says this bill should also make election results available sooner, since the county clerks would only have to count the votes they have in hand on Election Day. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Another day of red flag warnings in Southern California because of Santa Ana winds that have been blowing for weeks.
Firefighters are now working to contain several wildfires that ignited and ran in extreme fire conditions on Wednesday, with wind and the relative humidity down to about 5%. One large fire burned over 10,000 acres north of L.A. in the town of Castaic. No homes were even damaged. That fire has been knocked down. Another near Bel Air overnight burned 40 acres. That's been knocked down as well. Some other fires have popped up, but luckily nothing large is raging right now.
That's ABC's Alex Stone. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 352 points, S&P up 15. And coming up, sunny skies with a bit of haze today. KSL Weather's next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
If you're struggling with missing or broken teeth or painful dentures, you're not alone. Countless people face these challenges, but you don't have to suffer any longer. It's time to rediscover the confidence of a full, healthy smile with Stubbs Dental Implant Center, Utah's best of state winner. At Stubbs Dental, they understand how your missing teeth can hold you back in your career, social life, even in love. But it doesn't have to be that way. Their team of experts transforms lives with dental implants one smile at a time. Imagine what a new smile could do for you. Thousands have turned to Stubbs Dental for dental implants, gaining more than just teeth. They've regained their self-confidence. And the best part? Finding out if you're eligible for dental implants is easy. Visit StubbsDental.com. And in just 60 seconds, you could be on your way to a life-changing smile. Don't wait any longer to take the first step towards the life you deserve. Visit StubbsDental.com, StubbsDental.com today.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Here's Ricky Meese.
For those who are traveling the Salt Lake County freeways, you are good to go. But in Utah County, we do have an accident westbound Highway 189 Provo Canyon by Bridal Veil Falls. Join KSL Radio for the 29th annual Morris Columbus Travel Expo, January 24th through 25th at Mountain America Expo Center. Get great travel prizes and deals. UtahTravelExpo.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny skies today with a high of 36. There's a light haze outside that sticks around into tomorrow, and a high of 41 tomorrow with mostly cloudy skies. Right now it is 30 and fair. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
As it stands now, if you decide to return your election ballot via the U.S. Postal Service, you drop it off in one of those blue boxes, or you walk it into the post office, or you put it in your mailbox, you can do that. But if this legislation that's been introduced on Capitol Hill passes, it would require you to bring your ballot to a polling location or a ballot box location with an ID and present your ballot with that ID to a poll worker. And you couldn't put it through the U.S. mail anymore.
This is very interesting because there is overwhelming support from Republicans and Democrats. This is a bipartisan issue that says, should you have to present your ID, your photo ID, when you vote? Pew Research did some great work just last year. And they found that 81% of Americans, 81%, support requiring all voters to show some sort of government-issued photo ID to vote. 81%. Like, how many things out there can we agree 8 out of 10 in this country?
Representative Jefferson Burton talked to Amanda and Andy this morning when he called the show on Utah's Morning News and kind of gave the lay of the land of this proposal.
This bill would allow the ballots to continue to be mailed to folks, allow them to, have them on the kitchen table and talk about it and think about it for a week or so as they decide how they're going to vote. But once they make those selections and seal the envelope, this bill would then require that voters would take that envelope to a polling station, and we would begin that process 10 days prior to Election Day to avoid lines. And they would then take that ballot and see a human being who would look at their ID and put that ballot in a secure lockbox, and then that ballot would be able to go directly to the county clerks for tabulation.
Now, I love receiving my ballot in the mail. I love that. But I've always been the guy that drops it off at the ballot box. I've done it. We will fill it out. We will seal it. We'll put it on the counter, and typically I gather up the entire families, and then I go just drop it in the ballot box on Election Day. So this is something that I've done. It doesn't change much except for the fact that I would have to now bring my entire family and with all of their ID. Yeah. Hey, did everyone remember their ID?
And I'm the opposite of you. I drive my ballot to the mailbox. I go to the local post office. Usually I will walk it in. You can go to the post office, 24/7. The doors are unlocked, that you can use the slot to put it in. And I do that. And I have liked that, having that convenience of not having to stop by a ballot box and drop it off and potentially wait in a line to show my ID. Adam Gardner, co-host of Inside Sources, you're hosting this afternoon from 1 to 3. The perfect person to have on, because I understand you're also going to have Representative Burton live on the line as well during Inside Sources, so you can ask him more about this legislation. But what are your thoughts out of the gates on this?
This has been something that actually House and Senate leadership, mostly House leadership, has been pushing for the last few weeks. We've heard Speaker Schultz say it on a number of occasions that vote by mail has worked great in Utah. We love it. He hears from his constituents all the time that they love when they can set the ballot on the kitchen table, really do their research, contemplate, go on Google, and that he doesn't want to change. He did, however, say that we are one of 9 states that does universal vote by mail, and we're the only red state that does. So immediately to a lot of his constituents and a lot of constituents around the state, that will bring up red flags. So to avoid that, he said, we want to make sure that you're showing your ID and that you are who you say you are, so we can feel confident in that. And that's where Jefferson Burton's bill comes into play. And to be honest with you, as I read through the bill, you can go, by the way, your listeners can go on the legislative website, le.utah.gov, and search HB 300 and read this bill for yourself. And basically what it's saying is you're still going to get the ballot mailed to you, but somebody's going to be checking your ID. So if you want to go to the drop box, then somebody's going to be there at the drop box to actually check your ID. The problem is I'm a night owl, and when I finish it or when I want to go out and go to the gas station and grab a drink, I stop by the ballot box then, and I doubt someone's going to be there to look at my ID. So that's going to be interesting, kind of some getting used to. Where this might affect some people is those that live in very extreme rural areas or those that are shut-ins. They are going to have to get some sort of special permission. We don't know what that looks like yet, from a county clerk or from the lieutenant governor's office to be able to cast their ballot by mail still.
Would you say I just want to say, when you say shut-in, do you mean people like who have a disability that might not be able to get out of their home?
Yeah, if there's our elderly population that are homebound and that can't get out on their own, they're going to have to find a way to be able to vote. And in the past, they've been able to just mail it, and it's been okay. But right now, they're going to have special legal protections to either reach out to their county clerk or reach out to the lieutenant governor's office to make sure their ID can get checked and that they can still continue to vote by mail. So that there's a provision in this bill that actually allows that. It actually uses the phrase, the voter has other legal grounds to continue to vote by mail. So the military still will be able to, those that are overseas, that won't change. And so they'll have to fit in some sort of category like that.
Oftentimes when you're talking about the military or perhaps a missionary or somebody that is on long assignment, they will have to request an absentee ballot. This doesn't necessarily address the absentee ballot, does it? Does it lump all of that together?
That's a great point. Since we've gone universal vote by mail, no, it doesn't address that. You would still, if you're overseas, you'd still want to do an absentee ballot because they have to know how to find you. And so you still want to request and make sure that they know how to do that. But that's a really good point. This bill, from what I understand, what I've read so far, doesn't really address that. And I don't think it needs to at this stage, but it could later.
Adam, I've really appreciated the state of Utah making, I think, voting as easy as possible. You know, moved here in the 90s, 1990, and you had to go wait in line or find your polling place. And, of course, that was pre-website, so you couldn't search anything. If you accidentally showed up at the wrong place or they changed your polling place, that became an issue. Are people at all concerned? Is there anybody on Capitol Hill, any lawmakers that are concerned that this is going to make things more complicated for voters?
Definitely that's going to come up. And I think the legislature expects that, and they're going to have a pretty robust conversation when it gets to committee. From what I understand, this bill dropped last night, so everyone's just kind of taking time right now to go over the language, and in the next couple of days, that's when it's going to go to committee. And you're going to see the public that's for it or the public that's against it really have a good conversation about what this means for people being able to vote. Does it make it harder? In my mind, yeah, I think it does make it a little harder, but it's not anything overwhelming. We're talking about the difference between 3 minutes taking it to the mailbox and 5 at a drop box. The only time that'll really matter is in rural Utah. You'd have to go to your city center, your city hall, to actually drop that in the ballot. And that's where it's going to change.
Adam, I do wonder if this changes the need for signature verification. Because if the ballot is printed out with an ID number specific for me, and then I've got to drop it off, and then I've got to show my ID, is there really a need for signature verification on top of that?
That's actually a really good point, and one that I hadn't considered. I'm glad we get to interview Representative Burton to ask him about that, because that's actually a really good point.
Adam Gardner, thank you so much for joining us, co-host of Inside Sources. He'll be hosting today from 1 to 3.
And we did have a lot of calls earlier in the show about this issue, and mainly people were very concerned. We got James from Ogden, Francis from Salt Lake City, David from Murray, calling in, Michael, who lives in Taylorsville, calling in to say, like, look, what about people who, my relatives or people I know or myself who has a disability and cannot get to a polling location or a ballot box to have my ID checked and dropped it off. Also, what about people who no longer have an ID? I think about all of our elderly citizens who might have had a family member come along and say, Grandma and Grandpa, you can no longer drive, and therefore their government ID or their driver license has expired. Like, there is a lot of questions, and I know that Inside Sources will be tackling a lot of those when the lawmaker calls the show this afternoon.
And the American Disabilities Act protects those very situations. So whether they cover that through absentee voting, if that is where it falls under, but there is no question that those scenarios are absolutely protected.
And worth asking about and making sure. But we'll certainly get to the bottom of that with the collaboration of our co-hosts on Inside Sources this afternoon and our continuing coverage over the next couple of weeks as the legislative session rolls on. Straight ahead, if you're tired of switching your clocks back and forth every 6 months, stay tuned. We've got news for you about daylight saving time.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. With a reputation for integrity and care, Vox Real Estate offers services tailored to individual needs, specializing in residential spaces. Their expertise ensures clients receive the guidance necessary to make informed decisions. Owner and principal broker Kristen Devereaux joins us with more.
At Vox Real Estate, we focus on building relationships and helping people achieve their dreams. Real estate can be complicated, but it doesn't have to be. We're dedicated to putting your needs first without pressure. We empower our clients to make educated decisions, whether it's your first home, buying or selling a unique or luxury property, investing, or finding a cabin in the woods. We create customized strategies tailored to your needs and goals. With 20 years of experience and a passion for helping others, we focus on clear communication, proactive solutions, and ensuring every step of the process feels seamless and supported. From staging and marketing, negotiations to closing, and beyond. We're here every step of the way to make your journey smooth, enjoyable, and successful. At Vox Real Estate, you're not just a client, you're a part of our story. We're here to help you with warmth, professionalism, and care at voxrealty.com.
Vox Real Estate is committed to providing personalized expert services with a focus on helping clients achieve long-term success. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, their expertise ensures a smooth, tailored experience that prioritizes your unique needs and goals. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
At Intermountain Children's Health, we've created a bold plan called Primary Promise to build the nation's model health system for children. Help us achieve this once-in-a-generation vision so together we can bring the world-class care of Primary Children's Hospital closer to home for every child in our communities. For more than a century, Primary Children's has kept the child first and always. Join us for the next 100 years. To learn more, visit primarypromise.org.
Dave and Dujanovic. Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
KSL 5 Television is reporting that, Dave, a new plan. We've talked about it on this show as well. We talked about it with Holly Richardson of the Desert News and Utah Policy yesterday. That new plan to ditch daylight saving time, it moved forward. It moved forward out of committee, and now it moves over to the House for a vote. And anytime we talk about daylight saving time and standard time, I always tell Dave, I turn to him before we start talking about it, and I say, remember, my two brain cells that crash together when talking about daylight saving time and standard time, my Eastern time, they don't work well. I cannot figure out what we mean by what we're talking about. So I always turn this discussion over to Dave. But there is a proposal on Capitol Hill that would keep Utah on standard time year-round until, I guess, or if federal law changes that would allow Utah to flip back to daylight time. I mean, my goodness.
It is.
I don't even know what I just read.
Okay.
It was just a minute. Somebody give me, do we have,
can I walk
I need some water.
Let's walk through it just a little bit.
Please do.
This is what is so strange about standard time and daylight saving time. Standard time is only 3 months out of the year. Let's wrap our head around
That's what I grew up
there.
on in Arizona. Standard time?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on the same time as Arizona. That's about as much as I know right now.
Here in Utah, December, basically November, December, January, and then in February. So maybe 4 months. Let's say it's 4 months out of the year is standard time. Daylight saving time is 8 months. So that is the majority of the year that we spend during daylight saving time. So when we say standard, it's actually not really standard. The normal one that we live with most of the year is daylight saving time.
And that's the one I like, right?
It's the one that starts in March,
that's the
and
one
it goes through November. And what that essentially means is that you have more daylight in the evening.
So you do such a great job helping me through this. And also, you know who else did a great job yesterday? Holly Richardson. She has an eye on the Hill. She is a reporter with the Desert News. She is also editor of Utah Policy. You can find her her articles at utahpolicy.com. She explained the bill as well. So just because, like I said, my two brain cells crashing together on this, I need a little extra dose of information. So let's listen to what she said.
One of them is a bill by Representative Joseph Ellison, and it says if it passes, this bill would keep Utah on standard time, meaning we would not change our clocks forward in the spring and back in the fall. We would stay on standard time all year round. And one of the reasons he's approaching it this way is he says the state can make the decision to stay on standard time, but it takes an act of Congress to be able to stay on daylight saving time. So he's trying to do it that way.
So what that means is if we stay on standard time, we have that early sunrise. So you will have the sun rising at 4:54 a.m.
When?
I don't know. I don't have
July-ish.
Yeah.
No, it's probably before summer solstice. I know this much. It's probably in June-ish or something like that when you have a really long day.
Yeah, that's the earliest sunrise. So that is a little strange if you stick with standard time the entire time.
I need that time again. I'm sorry. I got to process that. What
4:54 a.m. is when the sun would come up.
We could do that. Okay, go ahead.
So then the latest sunrise would be 7 or 7. Sorry,
sunset.
The latest sunset would be 8 o'clock
at night.
So we don't enjoy that late evening sun when we're on standard time,
which I love because I like being out on the water on my paddleboard later in the evening. Like I love pulling my paddleboard off the water at about 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, right.
and being out there for sunset. I just love that.
And during daylight standard time, when the sun goes down at 9 p.m., then that's totally fine, right? You get that beautiful sunset as you're on the water. So those are the extremes. And the current system tries to prevent some of those big extremes. So your earliest sunrise with the two systems is 6 a.m. It's 9 o'clock p.m. So it's more reasonable. But when you just choose either standard or daylight, then you get kind of these weird extremes for many people that say, I love daylight. Like that's the one we want.
That's the one I like. I like that one. Yeah.
This is the weird time if you stay on daylight saving time. You have a early sunrise, or the latest sunrise is almost 9 a.m.
Well, that doesn't work for the kids going to school.
Every single kid will be in school during that time of year in the dark before the sunrise.
And I don't even have kids who are walking to school anymore. But I still care deeply about, of course, I will always care deeply about the safety of our children. That I think would be problematic.
Yeah, that means every kid that is standing at a bus stop waiting to
no.
get picked up is before sunrise.
And now look, maybe some people are rolling. I walked to school. I did. I walked to school in the dark. In Arizona sometimes. I got driven to school too a lot because it's dark.
Totally.
We're cutting across. I mean, it was like I'm not saying it was 2 miles uphill both ways in snow because it was Arizona, but we could get a 28-degree morning. And we were walking, my friend and I were walking across the desert, like open desert. I don't know if they have that anymore in Arizona. There's been so much construction.
Yeah, 8:30 a.m. That sun still hasn't risen in Arizona.
Right. And I would have to be in my seat in class by 7:27 a.m. Ask me why I remember that. Right? High school was 40 years ago for me. 7:27, we had to be seated. So we had to be at school, like you had to be there by like 7:10 to make it. We had lockers back then. I know they don't use them a lot anymore, but that's a long haul when it's dark out. And to your point about waiting at the bus stop, I don't know. I have some serious heartburn with that. So what you're saying is I have to give up my love for daylight saving time year round.
Yeah,
I'd have to.
In the summer, that when we enjoy playing those late rounds of golf, or we enjoy paddle boarding late and the sun doesn't go until 9 p.m., then we really love that standard time. But universally, there's a lot of discussion of whether people favor standard time or daylight saving time. But universally, people hate the back and forth. Like, nobody likes.
I'd agree with that, Dave. Sorry to mean to cut you. Like, you were going on. Like, I agree 100%. The back and forth. And I always tell my friends, our family out of state, I'm like, no, don't forget, we're springing forward or we're falling back because, because it messes up when we can talk and that, they don't know when to call.
And it is, again, this is strange because it's not evenly divided. We don't just do 6 months of daylight saving time, then 6 months of standard time. It really is the majority of the year we are under daylight saving time. 8 months out of the year, we are enjoying those late sunsets.
So this legislation has moved forward. It's not all the way through yet. It's got a ways to go. But the bill would keep Utah on standard time year-round until we would have the option with the federal law, if they change it, to allow us to switch over to daylight saving time.
And one of the biggest frustrations that I have with standard time is those early sunsets. You will have an early sunset at 4:57 p.m.
It feels like
before you're even off work,
I know.
sunset.
It does. It feels like by the time we even get off of work at 3 o'clock or 3:30 in the afternoon, I'm driving home, and I'm like, I'm not going to beat the sun home. I drove to work in the dark, and I'm going to arrive home in the dark. Hey, Maria Chaleos, our team of reporters and producers standing by right now with the latest from Utah's Capitol Hill as we continue our ongoing coverage of the 2025 legislative session. And don't forget Inside Sources if you want to learn more about that new legislation, that new proposal that would make it so you have to show up in person with your ballot for an election and ID. They're going to have a live interview with a lawmaker who is sponsoring that legislation.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
I can't tell. There we are. All right. Hey, guys, let me tell you, I joined Salt Lake City Fat Loss about this time last year. It was in February, and it was such an incredible program for me. They told me I could lose up to a pound of fat per day on the Salt Lake City Fat Loss program. So the way they divide it up, they have it in two parts. So they do 60 days of reduction, and that's really where the restrictive diet comes in, and you can see some incredible results. So for 60 days, I lost 57 pounds, and it was incredible to watch. Every time I got onto that scale, those pounds just shed off me, and that helped keep me motivated. Well, with a new year, how about a new you? If you want to lose some weight, go ahead and join Salt Lake City Fat Loss. You're going to get an additional